if you rob me, if you got the gun on me, I'm gonna come get you if I find you. I was never afraid of death. Hunts Point had drug dealers, stick-up kids, hitmen, prostitutes. If you ain't got 100,000 in your stash, you broke. He said, yo, you have a potential to be a king out here. And I told him, I don't want to be a king. I want to be a prince all my life.
My guest today is one of the most famous dealers in New York City history, the one and only Peter Shue. In the late 80s and early 90s, Peter was making millions of dollars a month dealing out of his headquarters in the South Bronx. This guy was the real deal, and nobody did it better than Peter. He did his prison time, never cooperated, and to this day, Peter remains one of the most respected gangsters of his era. Make sure to go get his book, The Life of the Party, The Peter Shue Story, available right now on Amazon. And for a bonus episode where he gives crazy details about his time in the feds and his days partying with stars and celebrities, hit that Patreon, patreon.com/TheConnectShow. This interview was a long time in the making, but it was well worth the wait. A street legend like nobody I've ever met, Peter Shue, right here on The Connect with Johnny Mitchell.
At that time, I had 357 mag. I put that on him. You're going to empty everything in your pocket and give me now. All your money you got in your pocket. When you get ready to get out, that's when you either get killed or you go to jail. I thought these people were selling drugs, but they was federal agents. When you in jail, you got to be on point. You got to know what's going on. You got to be ready for anything.
How did your father end up in the Bronx? Why didn't he move to Chinatown?
Well, he did work down there, but what it was, he met my mother in the bar. My mom's owned a bar in the Bronx, and that's how he got with her. So she invited him for dinner. This came over with suitcases. So that's how they got together.
So your mom is African American. She's black.
Yeah.
Your father is from China?
Yeah.
Where?
Canton.
Cantonese.
Yeah.
All right. Is that the minority Chinese in New York, or is Mandarin the minority?
I have no idea.
You don't have
I have no idea. But see, my mother was brought up in Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. You know, so. And then, but she moved to the Bronx. Everybody was in the Bronx. My whole family was in the Bronx. Her brothers, my grandmother, they was in the Bronx. Now his mother, my father's was in Boston.
Okay.
So.
Now, do you think a Chinese man in the 50s who gets a black woman to fall in love with him and let him move in, that takes some swag? Like, do you think that your swag and your hustle, like, did that come, that audacity, the audacity of a Chinese guy to hit on a beautiful African-American woman, do you think you get that from your father, or where does this hustle come from?
I mean, I think, you know, the guys in our family, even my sons down, you know, we're not shy. We if we want something, we go get it. So I guess that came to all of us, you know. So if it came from my father, his father, or whoever, you know, because I never got to meet his father. I met his mother, but not his father. So that just came from us the way we are, you know.
What did your parents do when you were a little kid?
And my father worked for OTB. That was off-track betting back in the day.
Right.
And my mother had the bar, and then she became a nurse. So when she became an RN, she stopped doing the bar.
Okay, so they were both had stable jobs. Like a nurse, that's a pretty good job.
Yeah, she sold the bar and went to nursing school because that was her desire. She wanted to be a nurse, so that's what she ended up doing.
Okay, so you guys aren't poor. You're in a 2-parent family.
I'm poor now.
So, but you grew up in the South Bronx, surrounded by broken homes and junkies and single parent families. But your parents, like, you have stability. There's food on the table.
Yeah, you know, we know. And then my grandmother lived with us too, so she had her income coming in. So, you know, and as my 2 sisters got older, they started working, and I was just the youngest, so I was just out there playing ball and hanging out.
Yeah.
You know.
Were you teased being Chinese in a Puerto Rican in a black neighborhood? Were you picked on? And
yes. So I had many fights.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had to defend myself. But you know, I was small when I was young. You know, even though I lost weight now, I was bigger. You know, and more stocky recently. But I was young. and small, and guys are so big. Even when I had to go out there and fight the guys that, mess with my sisters, bother them, they was 2 years older than me, 3 years older than me, 4 years older than me. So I took a lot of L's. So,
Yeah.
and that's how you learn. A loss is a lesson.
Right.
So, I'll come home, and there's one time, this guy, I had to fight over my sister. I came home and I told my father, what happened. So he said, my father was real like strict. He wanted you to man up. So he said, what happened? And I said, well, the guy had a good laughter. He threw the hookah, Well, he said, well, go out and do this, So the next day I go out there, fight the dude again, and he whipped me again. So I came home, I'm bruised up. He said, what happened? I said, the guy's too big, he's short. So he said, well, you told me what to do. He had told me kick him in the nuts and do it. So I went back out there and fought him again. And he beat me again. So I came home, and he said, so my father's like, so what happened this time? I said, what do you think happened? I just lost it. I said, I said, what the F do you think happened? He hit me with everything but the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I said, so my mother was like, he's like, he'd never seen me go off like that. So he's like, shocked. My mother was like, look, he said, go to your room. So she said, go to your room. Let me talk to him. She's like, yo, what are you doing sending our son out there like that every day? Them guys are too old for him and too big. How could, but it was, that's how he is. I could be fighting, right? And he's coming down the block. Say I'm fighting somebody, and a kid will run up on him and say, yo, your son's fighting. You know what he would say? Now, anybody else's father might say, what? And go and try to break it up or whatever. You know what he would say? Is he winning?
Wow.
My father's crazy.
He's a tough guy.
Yeah, he's a gangster too. So he's down in Chinatown. So he's part of that stuff. So
Really?
Yeah. So we was brought up tough. So I had to be tough. Especially in the neighborhood where we grew up at. Hunts Point had everything there. Hunts Point had drug dealers, stick-up kids, hitmen, prostitutes. I tell everybody about the wild dogs that be chasing you and trying to bite you.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they used to chase my mother. My grandma wake me up. I had to go out there with the baseball bat. I have to swing, get the dogs off my mother because they got it all hemmed up in the corner. Hunts Point was crazy.
I mean, Hunts Point in the Bronx is still crazy to this day, but in the 60s, I mean, just picture dilapidated buildings, fires, just in
60s,
barrels in the middle of the street, like just a slum neighborhood. Why did your parents choose to live there if they had, stable incomes?
Because at that time, they was popping babies, and so my aunt had the house, so it was a 3-family house. So they took the second floor, and it's a sweet deal for them because it was my aunt's house. Because where we lived at it was mostly private houses. It wasn't tenement buildings and nothing. It was all private houses. Actually, Spot for Youth House was right up the street. I don't know if you're familiar with Spot for Youth House. That's where they put all the juveniles in. That's the young guys when they do things. I've been there before. So yeah. So
wow. Okay. So do you recall when you started learning about what like a junkie was or a drug addict? Like how old were you? 68 is when a lot of the Vietnam vets start coming back from Vietnam and start using heroin. Did you kind of remember that taking off in the Bronx?
I mean, learning or seeing, because it's two different things. Like, I used to see that in the 70s, 80s, and, you see all that stuff, and, it's a part of life. I mean, because after the heroin and they were shooting that up, then it came the crackheads.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it was similar stuff. You see the same thing. It's just that crackheads was more violent, and they don't care about robbing their families and doing all kind of crazy stuff that they do. But the heroin, the people shooting dope, they petty thieves and stuff, but they basically just be sitting with the nodding and all that. So you see them, but I mean, my family, our block was family knitted. So we all stuck together. So there was no dope fiends on our block. Our family, elders would have told them to get off the block.
Yeah.
So they wasn't on our block.
Okay.
They would hang out in the parks and stuff, basically.
I see. And when did you realize like that was a whole economy? Like, do you remember what age you learned like, wow, there's guys that make millions of dollars selling this poison to these dope fiends?
Well, we don't. I don't think you would look at that growing up. You know, they make millions of dollars. You just don't know. You see guys because of what they wear and stuff that they getting paper. So you know, just like the pimps, you see that they getting paper. You see the prostitutes, you see the pimps. You know who's balling.
Right.
So they getting money, and you know sometimes they used to come to the park while we playing ball and come and bless us with cookouts. Here's some new sneakers, or here's, you know, some of them was doing that. So, and I knew all the big drug dealers back in them days. So it was like I was up and coming. They always said that I had the potential to be a leader. So even when I went to Rikers Island the first time, they was like, you know, the old guy told me, he said, I watched you grow up your whole life, man. He said, yo, you have a potential to be a king out here. And I told him, I said, Mr. Thomas, I don't want to be a king. I want to be a prince all my life. I went like that. He started laughing.
Yeah.
So that's how it was. But you know.
Well, when you were a kid, like a teenager, you didn't have ambitions to be this street prince, right? You wanted to ball. Or when did that change?
Well, like you know, at that time, basketball was my first love. So I wanted to be, you know, an NBA player because, you know, Walt Frazier was my idol at that time. So as the eras go by, Walt Frazier was my first idol, and Magic Johnson became my next idol when he came to the Lakers. And then my third idol, I mean, they're not really idols, but I'd like to pad in my game, but I don't play no more, with Steph Curry. So my thing is, you know, basketball was always on my mind in them days. And then, you know, my father used to try to get me into the Chinese culture, so he'll send me to places downtown the Canal Street, or he'll go with me. And then he had me taking martial arts and stuff. But you know, my temper was too short for stuff like that. So if I'm taking martial arts and somebody hit me too hard, I'm waiting when he, after, you know, the session, to come outside with a baseball bat to bust him in his head. Yeah. So I had to stop that, you know. So I always had a bad temper when I was growing up. So my father did, he left that alone and just let me do me. But when I really got into to answer your question, how I got into the life of crime is when my father and mother separated. So when he wasn't around most of the time, I became the man of the family. And you know.
What age was that?
I like to say about 15, 16.
Okay.
So what happened was, you know, I stole his 38 long. That was my first gun. Well, actually, my mother found it, and she tried to throw it in the garbage, and I went in the garbage and got it, and that was my first gun. Because every time him and her used to argue, and you know, her brothers is big, like you, 6'6", weight, and she'll be like, I'm gonna call my brothers, and he'll go right in the room, get the gun, and say, go ahead, call me. Start putting his slugs in the thing. So she'll hang up the phone because she didn't want to have that type of problem with them. But my father and her brothers was, you know, they was cool with each other. But when he left, you know, it was like a lot of weight on me because I became the man of the house. Right. So now I had to take care of everybody and myself too. So once I got that 38 long, then I had a little stick-up crew we put together, and we just started robbing everything. So that's where my life of crime started. So
wow. And that's when you kind of gave up the hoop dreams?
No, I still was playing ball. I gave up the hoop dreams when I was sniffing coke back in the day, because, you know, coke back in the day was a casual high like weed is now, smoking weed and all that. So you go anywhere, there was coke in the ashtrays, coke. Right. So you see all the celebrities. I go to parties, and all the celebrities are there. Everybody's sniffing. So, you know, they got their little straws or whatever. So I started sniffing too. So,
but you were doing stick-ups and then still going to high school and playing basketball for the team? And
well, I couldn't play basketball for the teams because I was never eligible because my grades. I always was missing class. I cut class every day. So because I wanted to go hang out. You know, my mother tried everything. She tried to put me in Catholic school, and the Catholic school, they was acting crazy. So I ended up coming back and they had their candy sale, and I had my little sticker crew go rob all them for their candy money that they was bringing in because they was treating me bad. You know, I don't care about no person's nationality stuff. I get along with everybody, but these people had some racist people in there, and they had 14 blacks in the whole school. Right? I was going to St. Raymond's. Had 14 blacks in the whole school, and we all ate together in lunch. And then everything else was the white people, which I was cool with some of them. But then you have the ones that's racist. So they would come and grab people's food off their plates and everything. So you paying for this. This is Catholic school. So they'll take their chicken off the plate and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, these dudes is crazy. So one time, one guy tried me, and he wanted my plate. So I just got up, went and brought another plate. Everything seemed like, it's all right. I went and threw the whole plate on him. It was mashed potatoes and everything, the gravy, so that we start fighting in there. So they telling my mother that I'm not Catholic school material, I'm public school. I was like, I'm not doing none of this stuff. I'm not, I'm not starting. Then, they was whatever the guy that runs the place, he was like, oh, he doesn't come with his shirt and tie. Everybody was putting their tie on when they got to the school in the lockers. So why you singling out me? So my mother was like, I don't know what to do with you. Maybe we should send you to military school, the army. I was like, I'm not going to none of that, So I went back to public school.
So you were just a bad.
Yeah, I was.
I mean, you had, because a lot of people come from the mud. Their father's not there. Their mom's on dope. Dad's in prison. Uncles are in prison. You had none of that. You were just a gangster.
They used to call me a ghetto superstar. But the whole thing is, my father did this because he made me so rough and tough. I mean, if you rob me, if you got the gun on me, anybody else would pat, all right, here. All I got is $14 here, you can have it. But I'm gonna come get you if I find you. I was never afraid of death. And people would tell you people be shooting, and I'd be like outside the Disco Fever sniffing the coke for like, them bullets better not hit me. And I got my 38 long on me, and my people jumping in the car windows and stuff like that because it's hot outside, but the bullets is flying, and I'd be sniffing, and I had the gun on me like, the bullets better not hit me. And they shooting around us, and my people was like, yo, you're crazy. What's wrong with you? I said, yo, I'm high.
So did you have a coke problem? Did it get away from you at a certain point?
No, I stopped. That's another thing. I was able to stop anything on my own. I didn't need no rehabs. I didn't need nobody talking to me. But my people around me, they had problems stopping. I don't know what it is. I have a friend now still sniffs. I said, damn, man, you still ain't stopped sniffing? He's like, Peter, he said, I'll die before I stop sniffing. I said, well, you definitely gonna die because, it's but so much your heart could take. But I started them. So I couldn't understand how they could never stop. And some of them stopped, but most of them, still dip and dab. And they didn't smoke crack or nothing. They just liked the feeling of sniffing.
So you're a teenager now. You got your own crew. You got your 38 long that you took from your dad. What is that? How does that evolve into becoming a heavier criminal?
Well, you gotta have money to get the coke. So you got to start robbing people. So we was robbing drug dealers. We was robbing businesses like down in downtown. I went to jail for that too. So we was robbing electronic stores and stuff like that. And
at gunpoint? Like running in there?
Yeah.
Doing sticks.
Yeah. That's how I got caught with the robbing in the spots. We had a dude. Now he set this up. He said, yo, this guy's gonna do the bank drop. He was like, yo, Peter, you wanna get him? Because he owed me some money. I said, how much he's going to bank drop? He said, 9,000. So I said, yeah, I'll get him. So I go to 149th Street, 3rd Avenue. I'm outside in broad daylight. Everybody thought it was a movie. Because people walking, if you seen 149th and 3rd Avenue at them times, everybody, people walking back and forth, they thought it was a movie. But I had at that time I had 357 mag. So I put that on him, made him get back in the car, and got the money from him. So I took the car keys. I said, listen, I'll leave the keys up the hill. And he was not wanting to give it up at first. And I said, well, you don't give me the keys, I'm gonna shoot your little brother. His little brother was in the car. So he gave me the keys. So I went up the hill, put it on top of the mailbox. But the guy that set the whole thing up, he took the keys and threw them. And we was in his BMW. So somebody got the license plate. So they got him, and he ended up telling on me. So his sister called me. His sister called me. She's like, Peter, my brother says that they know who you are, so you better break out. I said, yeah, they know who I am. It's your brother told him. He's dead now, so that was good. But the whole thing is, they came to my house looking for me. And I told my mother, they're going to be coming looking for me, right? So she changed all the pictures. My mother was a sweetheart. She changed all the pictures and put a black dude in the pictures. So when they came to the house, they was like looking for Peter Shue, but a black dude. So when they looked, they said, where's your son at? She said, oh, he's not here, he's away. So they said, is this your son right here? And she said, yeah. So they showed her all the pictures. She showed them on the pictures. Yeah, this is him. This is him. So they leave. So I'm thinking the coast is clear. I come back like a month later. I come back. So I'm thinking I'm good. And my man, Camilo, he was like, yo, let's go play some ball. So I said, I'm gonna get my bag. I had a big pony bag. And I always took my gun wherever I went in case somebody messed with me. So I had the 357 in there and I had the basketball. So when we came out and I came down the block, I'm dribbling the ball and he tried to steal it. I spun. They cuffed me. The guy cuffed me. I said, wow. What's this? He said, you're under arrest. You thought you got away? And then they charged me with robberies. And first I went to Bronx County. I got a $5,000 bail. I came out on that bail. And right when I was coming out to hug my mother and them, they cuffed me again. Said, yeah, you want him? He be in Rikers Island. We got some more stuff for him. Wow. So they hit me with some more robberies. So I beat some of the trials, and then I lost one, and I ended up doing 4 years. It was 2 1/3 to 7. But, I got into an incident, and I had to stab somebody, and then I ended up doing 18 months in the hole. So I ended up doing 4 years in the state.
Okay. And you were on Rikers. That's where you stabbed somebody?
That's where you started. No, when I went to the other jail.
Okay.
But
how was that? I mean, it sounds like you had to stab somebody, but tell us about state prison. Like, did that form you into being this leader that you're, that old school cat said that you were going to be?
No, you know what it was? I mean, even when we were sticking up, people just picked me. Like, instead of my cousin, and he started this, but they picked me as being the leader. I don't know what it is. I don't know why people, all my life, they cling to me as the leader, and I can't explain it. I guess it's the aura. But when I got arrested, shoot, when I went to Rikers Island, I was like, oh my God, I got on a nice leather jacket, sneakers. So the dude, I already knew what to say because the dude was like, we was online. He said, yo, my man, what size are your sneakers? I said, your size. He said, what? I said, your size. So he just kept looking at me, right? So I'm going into mess hall, but in my mind, because there was one dude that I got cool with in the bullpen, I was like, this dude's gonna try me. I know it, you know what I'm saying? So he's like, all right, well, you don't have no weapon or nothing. You just got to see what you could do. He said, we'll jump him if you want. So I said, let's see what happens. So, I didn't see nobody I know or something like that. So when we went to Chow, then I ran into the brother that used to, he was from by my way, older guy, and he cuts hair. So he see me, he said, man, what you doing in here? He said, shit, what you doing in here? He said, where you at? I said, they sending me to one upper. So he said, I'm coming up there. So when he came up there, he's like, he brought this guy named Bear. He was from the Bronx, big dude, had the big bear on his arm. So he came up there, he said, yo, Bear said, because I didn't know him, I just met him. He said, listen, this is my family. Anybody mess with them, I'm gonna come up here and tear y'all out the frame. That's all I needed. They didn't even bother me, so I didn't have to worry about my sneakers and nothing. So,
Yeah.
you know, but then they switched me to the quads. Now I was different. The quads is like the cells. They lock you in cells. So I didn't have Bear and them around me. So one day I go to the yard, I come back. My sneakers is missing. So I was like, damn. So I was like, Drago. He said, what? I said, yo, somebody took my sneakers. So we walking through the, you know, to see who's in their cell, because the cell doors is locked if you didn't go out. So I see this big dude, Hell, got my sneakers in his cell. Now this like 6'8", and my sneakers don't fit him. He's like maybe 15, 16. My sneakers is like 8 at the time. So I was like, yo, this nigga got my sneakers. So he's like, oh man. He said, you're gonna have to do something with him. I said, what? I'm 100 and maybe 30 pounds. What am I gonna do with this dude? So I'm trying to figure out. So that whole time, through count time and stuff, I'm trying to, you know, what I'm gonna do with this dude. So I'm in my cell, Drago's in the other cell, and we talking through the walls. He said, we gotta try to get you a knife. So I said, it ain't no time for that. So when Chow opened, when they called for Chow, and after the 4 o'clock count, I just went and snuck him, which did nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and then I grabbed him, we holding each other, and he got me on the floor. He said, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. And I'm holding, looking for the police. Where the f y'all taking so long to get in? You know what I'm saying? I'm looking for them to break this shit up. So I'm holding him so he can't swing on me. So they came and broke it up. So they put him in the cell, and then they put me in the cell, you know, but so we secluded. So all night, I'm gonna kill you tomorrow. I'm gonna kill you, you know. I'm gonna get, you know, all night I'm hearing this. I said, damn, this don't go to sleep, because he kept saying he gonna get me, right? So I'm talking to my man Drago again. I said, yo, I gotta get out of here. This is after me. He said, what you gonna do? I said, I don't even know. I gotta think about it. So when the cell opened on our side to go eat breakfast, when I went to the desk, I flipped the whole thing over. Just threw it over. So that's because they gotta get you, they put you in the shoe then. Yeah. So, because we didn't go to the shoe for the because it was overcrowded. It has to be emergency to get you in the shoe. Because it was overcrowded. So when I flipped the food over, they cuffed me and took me out. And he had to get me. So I seen that chump later on when I came home, but he was in a wheelchair. He was like paralyzed. So I didn't do nothing to him. But somebody had shot him. But the whole thing is, that's how tight, you know, that's what you have to do. You got to think when you're in jail. You just can't be relaxed. Everything has to be, you got to be on point. You got to know what's going on. You got to be ready for anything and deal with it. So
when you go upstate, where were you when this stabbing incident happened? What facility?
Adirondack.
Okay, I haven't even heard of that place.
So it's like near going towards Canada.
Okay.
But
way upstate.
Yeah.
So
you know, we was playing ball. You know, we was playing ball, and the dude was losing. You know, the dude lost to us. So, you know, he said the refs was cheating. So he said, all y'all can suck my. So that's a violation. So I said, yo, who you talking to? He said, I'm talking to all y'all. So I said, all right. So when he went in the shower, when I came back, I had got a knife. I ran up in there, and I was like, hitting him up, suck your, suck your, and he's screaming like, you know, like a girl. So I ran out. I got blood on. I ran right into the police, man. You know what I'm saying? Because he was coming to see what happened.
Why?
I mean, because I was going to try to hide the knife, but he probably would have told on me anyway. But yeah, that's how I had to do extra time in the shoe.
But you didn't catch another case over it, though.
Nah.
Wow. Today's episode is sponsored by Cash App. You guys know Cash App, okay? I know who my demographic is. I love Cash App. I've been using it since it rolled out years ago. I've tried other competitors, some of those leading brands, okay? And I've gotten money stolen off of it. I've gotten fished off of there. Cash App is truly the only app that I can trust to securely move around money, okay? Cash App is a safe, easy, and fast way to send, receive, and transfer money to family and friends. You guys know Cash App. You guys love Cash App, but in case you don't, here's how easy it is to get started, okay? Just enter your phone number or your email and some other basic information. No bank account is needed, and there's no waiting. Did your money show up right away? No waiting around for days. It's your money. You shouldn't have to wait, obviously. And Cash App has your back. If you're about to send money to a sketchy account, a scam warning actually pops up. And boy, I could have used that the last time I went to Colombia. Okay, I had to hit up mom and dad because I got cleaned out pretty good. Oh, and let's not forget about the personalized payments. You can send custom text, stamps, or backgrounds to the people that you send money to. Didn't that make splitting brunch after a few mimosas more fun? You need to switch over to Cash App, and you need to do it today, now. As of listening to this, if you know what's good for you, if you want a safe, secure, and fun way to send and receive payments. Check it out. Just download the Cash App, sign up, use our referral code CONNECT in your profile, send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms do apply. That's money, baby. That's Cash App. Are you a man? Are you a fellow sufferer like me? What am I talking about? You know what I'm talking about, dude. You can't get it up. Maybe it's diet. Maybe it's diabetes. Maybe you're scared. Whatever it is, these are the host of things that I've told myself throughout the years to try to deal with my lack of manhood. No more of that. Those days are gone. Those days been gone. No more risking your life going down to Mexico. Oh, I'm gonna go to a farmacia in Matamoros and get caught in a gunfight just to buy my Viagra, my Cialis? Why would you do that when you got Hims? Hims is changing men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. Hims are the best. I don't even need to read the copy they sent me because I got a bottle of them upstairs. I keep them on me at all times. I keep them when I travel. I keep them when I go to the post office. I keep them when I go get my coffee in the morning. You never know when you're gonna need a rock hard. And these are chewables, chewable tablets. They work faster than Viagra and Cialis. You guys, I go all over the country, traveling, working, hanging out with friends and family. And all I do is sing Hims' praise. Hims are chewable tablets, you guys. They work faster than Viagra and Cialis, and they're generics, meaning they cost 95% less. Why would you ever do anything besides this? Oh, and the best part, the process is 100% online, so there's no need for uncomfortable doctor's visits. And by the way, you're guaranteed to get a prescription, okay? Just fill out an intake form on their site, and a medical provider will determine the right treatment option for you. If prescribed, when prescribed, your medication ships directly to you for free. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. Yeah, this is cheap. You don't need insurance. That's how cheap this is. You're going to pay more in insurance every month than you would be just buying them directly with Hims. With hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, Hims can help you find the ED option that works for you. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/connect. That's HIMS.com/CONNECT for your personalized ED treatment. Once again, that's hims.com/connect. You guys, erectile dysfunction be gone. Thank you, Hims.
The featured product includes compounded products which are not approved nor verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality by the FDA. Prescription is required. See website for details, restrictions, and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
So when you came home from the state prison, what was your plan? Because now you're a man, you're in your early 20s. Did you set out to be this drug kingpin that you later became?
No, I wasn't thinking about none of that stuff. I had stopped getting high before I went to jail. And then, the robbing stuff got, I'm like, I get bored quickly. So the robbing stuff got boring to me. I stopped wanting to do that. But my team waiting for me. So when I get home, a lot of them quitting their jobs and everything. They say, who you think I am? Allah or something? I'm going to be able to do. Man, you better get them jobs. So he was like, so you ain't got no plan? I know you got a plan for us. I was like, listen, man. I'm trying to do everything the right way, which I was trying to do. I had a hookup in the phone company, but they found out that I checked the application on where it says ever been convicted. I put no. So this supervisor that was jealous of me, he's in another section. It's my fault because I was being lazy talking to my parole officer on the phones where I work at. Because I was a telephone representative, but I'm on my break. Instead of me going to the break room, I'm talking on the phone, and he was eavesdropping. So that's how they came and got me with the security guards and, armed security guards. And I'm like, damn, I wonder who they coming to get. They was coming to get me. So they brought me in this room with a bunch of, people that, do you know why you're here? And I said, nah, enlighten me. He's like, well, you lied on your applications. I said, oh, well, if I was said I wasn't convicted, would I got the job? I mean, now you probably would get a job, but
back then,
no.
Mm-hmm.
So then they called my supervisor, and she's like, well, he's excellent at what he does. He can fix the computers and everything. Can't we do something for him? And they said, no, we don't like liars. So they was like, so that was a low point in my life because I was trying to do right.
Mm-hmm.
So then they walked me out the building. Took my, you had to have it. I was working on 375 Pearl Street, so you had to have a special ID to get in. It's like 300 people on every floor that was working because you representatives, all you do is answer calls. Actually, when, I don't you remember, I was one of the first people to give out, to pitch to sell customs calling services like call waiting, three-way calling, stuff like that. So I used to have to sell that over the phone.
Wow.
After I hear you complaining about your phones.
Oh, so you were selling. You were a salesperson.
Yeah. So I was doing all that. But friends I had that stayed there, they became supervisors and everything. So I would probably been a supervisor. And plus, I was on top of everything I was doing. So they walked me out the building. I got into my Cherokee Limited at the time. 1988 Cherokee Limited, and I was driving on the highway coming up, and I was feeling so, gloomy. I was like, man, I should just drive my Jeep off the bridge, because I tried to do the right thing. I tried not to be in that life. So then what happened, when I got home, how word travels so fast, my mother was already crying. So I said, what? What are you crying for? She said, I heard what happened. I said, listen, it's okay. But remember, I tried it your way. I'm never going to work again in my life. That's what I told her. And the person that called her was the lady that got me the job because she had found out right away. And she's like, told him. And then my PO called me. He's like, well, you're so smart. You'll get another job easy. I said, listen, her name was Smallwood. She was my parole officer. I said, listen, no disrespect, Miss Smallwood. If you want me to come in every day, I'll come in, but I'm never working again. And that started me on my life of crime.
Wow. So now was that like seminal moment that set you off on this path? That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what came next? Did you tell your crew like it's on?
Well, my partner, yeah, that too. But my partner I thought he gave me a welcome home gift, and I thought it was a gun, because it was wrapped up, and I didn't open it because I said, they keep trying to get me back in this life. I'm not trying to get in there, so I just put it in my closet. But it was a weird smell coming out of there. So when after I was going through all this, I opened it up. It was a key of Coke. So he put a key of Coke in there for me, like a welcome home. Wow. So I called him up and I said, yo, what is this, man? He said, that's where the money's at now, crack. He said, so, cook it up, put it out there, and see what you could do and just start flipping.
And this is the first time you've sold drugs?
First time I sold. Well, no, we sold drugs when we was robbing people for their drugs, but wholesale. Like we'll sell it to somebody. Like you might be on the streets. Yeah. And we like, yo, we got 700 grams of this or 800. We'll sell it to y'all like that.
Right.
But this is me as being a drug dealer.
Right.
Yeah. So I He's trying to tell me on the phone how to cook this thing, and I'm cooking it, and I messed that whole shit up. We barely got what it cost back.
Right.
You know, I didn't know what to do, so I had to hire me an expert cook.
Right.
You know, a chef that knows how to do that. Then I started blowing up. But when I did that, that's when I got with my team, and I was like, listen, you know, we back in the game. All right, this is what we gonna do. And I told him, you know, we're gonna start here. But I told him, listen, at first I was putting the crack out there, you know, but after a while I seen things happen. You know, what really turned me off about the crack, and I just started selling coke, because what turned me off about the crack, in my building where I was living at, on the second floor, this guy that was cool, you know, he was cool. You know, I met him when I came back home. I was living with my moms, and he's smoking crack. His sister told me he's smoking crack. So I was like, wow. So he gets somebody to go into his mother's building, his mother's apartment. Now, mind you, the sister, God bless her, she wasn't there. But they went in the apartment to rob his own mother's house. But the mother was there. They ended up killing the mother, stabbing her, killing her. So I was like, man, I don't want that to happen in my family. So first of all, I stopped drugs from being on the blocks. They can't be on our blocks. You got to be farther down. And then I didn't want to sell crack no more, so I just started selling coke.
Okay, so tell us, who is your team?
Names of people?
No, the guys you had working for you, working with you. Just were these your childhood friends?
Yeah,
how many of them were?
Most of them are my childhood friends. You
And
know,
these are black dudes or Puerto Rican dudes?
both.
Okay.
So we had they was a strong crew, and they don't tell. Nobody in my crew never tell.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people told on me out of the crews. Nobody never told on me that associated with me. It's always somebody that's jealous and they tell on us, or they'll get caught doing something and they'll tell on me. Gotcha. So the guys that we had coming up, we had an oath, and we'll go to jail or go to our death before we tell on anybody. And that goes for even if you kidnap one of us, you looking for one of us. They will have to cut my head, my legs, everything off, and I still wouldn't tell where you was. Where's Johnny? You're not getting that from me. That's the way we was brought up.
How many of you guys were there? How deep was the crew?
Probably 12 at first. Wow. Then it got bigger and bigger because I started hustling in different places, and we talking about blocks, the boroughs, then I was town, the states. Mm-hmm. So
So how everybody had coke back then? This is what, like 1985, 86 or something?
No, 88, 89.
Okay.
89.
So everybody had crack now. Crack's been around for like 4 years. Why were you different? Why were you able to expand so quickly?
Well, in anything you do, you have to do the competition. Mm-hmm. So like, say if I'm in Baltimore, because you said you're going to Baltimore soon. Say I'm in Baltimore, and they have, say they have 27 vials. I will make mine 29. If they come 29, I make mine 30. So we outdo everybody. And we wasn't cutting the coke. We just putting the coke in there as is. So after you run it through the strainers and run it into the little plastic vials, that's what they getting. And they cook their own stuff. Mm. So, and then I was selling keys too, Actually, that's how I blew up first. I was selling Heroin when I first came home, because we was talking about that earlier with the Africans. My little man came to me and he said, yo, I got a connection with the Heroin. He said, because they don't know how to move it. So I said, who? He said, these African guys. And I said, so what they want back? Every key, they wanted $50,000. So I was selling the keys for $107,000. I would give them $7,000 to the Muse, and I keep them $50,000 for myself. So that's how I blew up first. So what I would do, I would just people that's coming that had the big labels on the Heroin would come to me and get that. Now when the Africans was going dry and stuff, then I got to connect with the Chinese people. So I go down Canal Street and get the Heroin from them. And see, this, you know, there's a lot of people that lie about being big time hustlers and stuff. So I play the game with them. So even when everybody's a superstar in the feds. So when you go to the jail, and the guys be like, yeah, yo, Shue, what's up? And, you know, I heard about you. Yeah, I was big time out there too. I was selling crazy, you know, weight. I said, oh yeah? I said, so you was getting the China white? They said, yeah, man, I was getting the China white with the seal and everything. I was like, oh, well, how many grams was you getting? I said, 1,000 grams. I'm playing stupid, 1,000 grams. Chinese don't sell that. See, Chinese don't sell 1,000 grams. Chinese grams was like, and you speak to the guy tomorrow, he'll probably tell you that too. It's like 700 to 750 grams in between there. So that's how you know these guys is lying.
So they don't even sell full kilos.
You know, their keys is that weight.
Yeah,
so
but
you
a kilo
get 2 slabs.
a kilo is 1,000 grams though. So they just mathematically.
In somebody else's word. But in the Chinese word, it wasn't. So you get 2 slabs. You know, it's like 2 slabs lapped up. And
that costs you $50,000?
Well, theirs was different. Theirs was different. We talking about the Africans.
Right.
The Africans was giving me the eggs, and the eggs was costing me $50,000. Now we talking about Chinese dope. It's more potent because it holds more. See, whatever, you know, back in the day, you see people talking about like in the 60s and whatever that, you know, because we wasn't in that era, but them guys was getting dope that could take a 40. Right. You know, because I got people that was in them eras. Older guys would tell me, man, we had dope that could take a 40.
That means, for just a quick review,
a 40 cut.
Yeah, cut it 40 times, and
how do you do
unbelievable.
That? I couldn't. You know, you get probably dope out here. You'd be lucky if you could cut it a half. You know, a spoon. I don't know what they do. I don't sell drugs no more. But even when I was selling Heroin, you know, the Africans joint only probably take a 1 at the most.
Right.
But the Chinese dope was probably taking, you could probably put a 2, maybe a 3 on it and have powerful dope.
Right.
So,
but already the heroin has become significantly, even in the late 80s, significantly less strong than it was in the early 70s.
Of course it was, because they started cutting it up or whatever they do. You know, that's above my grade pay. I don't know what they was doing. But I know that the heroin, just like the coke, in my time, they was making like keys of coke. They were making compressing them and making 1 key into 4 and stuff like that. So the potency don't be the same. But as long as you could bring it back to where you cook it or whatever they doing, that's all that matters.
This next sponsor is for all you out there that love getting hit off with that pack, that Zaza, that trippy, ippy, sticky, wicky. Baymokes, America's #1 online dispensary. I have been buying from Baymokes long before they sponsored the show. These guys are based out of Miami, Florida, and they have everything that you need to get you off this planet. Check it out. THCA flower, THC gummies, pre-rolls, concentrates, vapes. They've got best-selling combo packs. These guys are great. They ship to all 50 states. This is absolutely federally legal. This is THCA. I mean, you could live anywhere. You could live in the swamps of Arkansas, Texas now, and it's still legal for them to ship to you. It's derived from legal compliant hemp with 100% natural ingredients, and it's lab tested for safety and potency. I really like these guys. No, seriously, I kid around a lot. They're family owned. They're very, very nice people, and they just got the best products out there and the sickest brands. It's Baymokes, you guys. And check it out. Use the promo code that we link in the comment and the description of this episode and get yourself a free bag, 3.5 G's of that wop wop. Feel me? Why not? It's free. Use that link to the promo code. Boom. Use it at checkout. Done. Done deal. Baymokes. We love you guys. Great brand. Check them out. Enjoy.
Okay, so how much did 750 grams of China white cost you? You were getting it, 50,000 was your price from the Africans. What was the difference in price from the Chinese, and how much could you resell that for?
It's been so long ago, but I believe it was over 100,000. They would charge me 120 or something like that. It's so long ago.
For 750 grams.
Yeah,
that's insane.
And if you sell a key, you sell it for probably 150 and just quick turnovers but the Heroin's fantastic. So you have quick turnovers in, and you get your money, you know, back quicker than the African money. You know, the
Why is
African
that?
money, because the dope is better.
Yeah. So you could just get a kilo, a fake kilo, 750 gram kilo for 120,000 and then just wholesale it, pass it off and make 30 grand.
Yeah, real quick, but it goes like
Right.
hours. They'll come back to get another one because if they got blocks pumping like that, because you had blocks, especially like in the, you know, I can only talk about the Bronx because I'm from the Bronx, but Hunts Point, Cortland, Watson, 138th Street, and what's that area? Where the lynch mob was, a Puerto Rican lynch mob. They was down there. That all of them places, $100,000 a day. You know, so
Unbelievable.
they was making crazy money, but I couldn't get that because I was selling wholesale again. I was selling because I couldn't get the right mix. See, the Puerto Ricans had the mix, and they wasn't giving it up to the blacks.
Right.
So their mix was whatever they was using at that time. Because, you know, a few of them was using different type of mixes, but like I had a close friend, and they was using elephant tranquilizer. So they caught a big case behind that. And I don't want to say no names because I don't know they want their names out there, but they home now. But they caught a case, and the man told them, take this, because it was killing people, take this off the street and we'll let y'all go.
Wow.
We won't prosecute y'all.
Wow.
But I guess they was getting so much money, just said F that. And they got locked up.
Wow.
But you know, it's a
You
whole,
just didn't have the recipe.
I didn't have the recipe for that.
But I mean, that's a good deal to just be able to supply the streets, supply the blocks. How many people were you giving heroin material to?
In New York,
Yeah.
probably 5 big labels.
Right.
But you know, I was a coke man. So we, you know, anywhere from, you know, we went up there in Keys, you know, because it was a bunch of us, and I got to connect to give me a bunch of keys at one time. Like they started me off with 250, then it went to 500, then it went to 1,000. But it was so many of us that I could push the keys to move them. So we was moving them. Me and my partners, we was moving them crazy.
Well, if the heroin is so much more profitable, why did you ever switch to coke?
Because I had the mix. See what I'm saying? The heroin was profitable, but coke, you had the mix. And my blocks off a key out of town, right? Off a key of coke, you're getting 80,000 a key off bagging up a straight up key. So I couldn't lose with that. And if you know, we was doing like 6 to 8 keys in one particular area, like in different states. So if you're doing 6 to 8 keys, that's good money.
How many people did you have out of town at one time?
Well, first, when you get somebody out of town, first you got to find somebody that has relatives out there. That's the first thing you do. You don't just go out there and say, I'm from New York and try to get on, because what happens is, A, they might call the police on you because you selling drugs in that area. Yeah. B, they might have you set up to get robbed and killed. So you know, you got to find somebody that's cool in that state. So you might meet a guy named John Wayne, and you be like, you know, through your cousin, he's your cousin, and you be like, yo, you get money out here? Yeah, I got a few blocks. We could, you know, boom, 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 and be like, well, suppose we could supply you more. Will you be able to? He said, yeah, you know, and then you loop them in. Then you send some of your lieutenants out there to hold him down, and he has his little security, and you booming.
And you didn't have a problem giving out consignment. Like you would just drop work on people and let them pay you when they finished. Yeah,
we had guys, you know, now our keys was out there ready to bag up and everything. So that's you get your table crew and everything. That's the work. Even with the heroin, same thing. But I had guys that would take keys from me and go to other states and then bring me my money back. And, you know, if they don't bring me my money back, then they know what time it is. But nobody never did that. They always brought our money back, you know, because we had a good, strong, you know, group. And we was from all over. We wasn't just from the Bronx. It was Queens, Brooklyn, Manhattan.
And then how many people out of state? What were some of the most lucrative spots out of town?
Baltimore's lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Philly's good. All up the East Coast was good. Detroit's good. Chicago's good. The West Coast going up that way is too far. Even, I tried to get stuff out there, but not on a heavy volume because it's too far.
Mm-hmm.
But when you got the places 2 hours away, 3 hours away, that's good to do, My man went to Houston. He had something in Houston for us. Atlanta. You go to Atlanta and,
your connect on the coke side, somebody just giving you 250 keys. That's a lot of responsibility. Who was laying material on you like that?
You was Johnny. No, I'm just kidding.
I wish.
Now, what happened, right? I was in, I used to go hang out a lot. So I go to South Beach, we balling. We might be in Vegas at the fights, then fly to South Beach after that. We taking private jets and everything. Before people was taking private jets going on this stuff. Yeah. I was taking private jets. I was taking private jets from Madonna too. So we taking private jets and going back and forth. So I'm in South Beach in Miami. And I meet this girl and she was fantastic, and she was Colombian. And we hit it off and I started dating her. And I didn't know her family was into this. So her brother, their family was kind of, didn't want me with us, their sister and stuff like that because they're Colombian, I'm Black and Chinese. So, I could feel the tension when I used to go to they had a nice joint too. It's like a mansion type thing. So I used to go to their place and I should tell her, I don't feel comfortable here. I just don't feel comfortable. The parents and stuff wasn't even talking English, but he talked English, but he was a connect. So,
And he was like her brother?
Yeah, he was a brother. So one time they he had some guys jump me, and when they jumped me, now I was just getting established in South Beach, so I didn't know these people like that. But then when they jumped me, I was trying to find out who they was, and then his name came up, and when his name came up, I went to see him because I don't. Before I went to do something to him, I want to know why. Why did you do this? We supposed to be like family. I'm dating your sister. You know what I'm saying? And he was trying to deny it, but I was like, listen, man, your name came up like 2 times already. So I'm kind of getting the feeling that I'm gonna have to, go to war with you. We're gonna have an altercation. And he said, listen, I'll give you an offer. He said, but you gotta leave my sister. You can't date my sister no more. I don't want her dating outside her nationality.
Yeah.
So I was like, so what is your offer? I'm like, he's like, I give you coke. And now, meanwhile, I didn't know he was this type of dude. He was this big. But he's like, I got a large amount of coke that I distribute. He said, I give you coke. I heard you can move coke because she told him that. So,
and had you been moving coke at the time, or this is still the Heron's winning?
No, we was moving everything.
Okay.
So, but we didn't have no connect.
You didn't have the Colombian plug.
That's a connect.
Yep.
So he was like, yeah, this was my first connect. So I had others after that. I dealt with Italians. I dealt with Russians. You deal with different people as you get experience and people recognize your name. And I had a good name. They know if it's a dime missing, I'm putting that dime back. There's nobody, everything's my fault. I take the weight. I always have. Even when we get arrested, it could be all of us in this room arrested. I say, all the drugs was mine. And there's a videotape now where I caught a case of 219. I said, whatever you find in the house is mine. Anything, I always take the weight. Why? Because I know I can do the time, you know, and I ain't gonna tell nobody.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys on the outside, they look like they're gangsters and they can handle stuff, but when they get under them lights, man, and you be thinking, not him, not big, this guy, this big guy, you know, oh, he's a killer.
Right.
They can't do time.
So this cat,
He gave me the 250 grams and I had to leave his sister
250
alone.
grams?
I mean, keys. And I had
Okay.
to leave his sister alone. So I said, well, listen, I don't have no way to transport this from Miami now. He said, oh, I got a place in New York for you.
Sure.
And he had a place for New York. So I told my partners, I said, yo, I just got 250 grams, 250 keys to move.
Wow. And what was that price? What was the price to you per key?
At that time, he lowered it, but at the beginning he was charging me 14. Then he lowered it to 10. So, you know, because he's seen us moving so quickly.
Right.
But so I took the 250 keys and I gave them out.
Okay.
And I said, yo.
And what were you charging on those keys?
We partners. My partners, you know, whatever they sell it for, we split the profit.
Okay, I see.
So if we get it for 14, they selling it for 20, 21 or whatever at the time. And then if it's a drought, it could go up. The price goes back and forth because, you know, right now I don't know what they do because I'm not in that game, but we was getting you know, 7 when we started out, 7,000-8,000 off each one.
Okay.
And
all right. So it sounds like you had a bunch of dudes, partners, and you split whatever they could wholesale the keys that you gave them for. So if you made 4,000 wholesaling a key, you split it.
that's my partners.
Mhm.
And I sold keys too.
Okay.
I sold whole keys to people.
You have your own customers.
Yeah, so if I sold keys for 20-something thousand, then that's my profit.
Right.
Nobody gets that. That's all my profit.
I see.
So I would give out 20 keys, 25, whatever they want, and then I'll keep the bulk and I'll sell them. So then when we started getting a whole bunch of keys, you know, I brought him back his money back in like 4 or 5 days, you know. He said, what's this? I said, we finished. He said, you finished? He said, get out of here. I said, yeah. Now, meanwhile, you know, I told him I can't come to the house no more because she was crying and everything. And I really cared for her too. Because I told her I can't mess with her no more and stuff like that. And
Did you explain to her the deal that you made with her brother?
I didn't tell her that. I told her I got somebody pregnant, and you know, and she was real upset. And I told her brother, I said, listen, you know, but he said, listen, you made a deal, that's it. I said, well, what about her you know, her status mentally wise going through this? He said, I'll deal with it. I said, all right. So we started meeting up at different places and I give him his money and stuff like that. But then he started, me and him got cool. We was hanging out, going to dinner, going to the clubs. And, you know, he said, can you handle more? I said, well, let's go up and look at the time and we find out. He said, all right, 500. I'm gonna give you a 500 next time. So I said, all right, I better fly back to New York then to get everybody ready. So I told him he's gonna give us 500 this time. And we start, you know, doing what we do. And
At 10,000 a piece?
no, he didn't start at 10,000, but I think it was about 2 months. Then he loaded to 10,000.
So that's $5 million that you have to return to him. Are you still, and he's laying those on you, you don't give him any money, they just lay it on you and
They lay it
say,
on you.
bring it back when you're done.
If you don't pay that
Of
money,
course.
you got beef.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Now,
So-
were you worried about laying work on your dealers and your customers when it was already getting laid on you, being that you owe money to the Connect? And
I wasn't laying it to the customers. They had to
Okay.
come with their cash.
So that had to come COD.
Now, my people, they know they had it if anything go wrong. But see, I you know, I'm a businessman. I study business. So if we get them at 10, say when it got down to 10, and we sell them for 20-something thousand or whatever. It might have went up drought, you might go a little higher. But anyway, if somebody get arrested or whatever, or the drugs get confiscated, we prepare ourselves for that. So we know if that happens, we got to make that up.
Okay.
So I always save things for a rainy day.
Right.
So we always was prepared for things like that. But what I did do, I was like, we got to come up with a different, because one of the guys got busted, or I think he had like 19 keys on him or whatever. And that's before we started really doing the stash cars. So we started getting the stash cars and
Hang on, before you get into that, how do you warehouse 500 keys? I mean, that's a lot of responsibility.
That's what I was getting ready to tell you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead.
was getting ready to get to that.
My bad.
But we had the keys in one place. That's why I thought about it. I said, man, they ever hit this spot? How are we gonna pay that back? You know what I'm saying? Because we just started. I said, we got to come up with a better deal. So, I went to dinner with my peoples and we all talked because we all bosses. I don't deal with work. None of my crew was workers. We all bosses. So we talked, and I said, somebody got to come up with a better idea for us with this. So they would say, well, suppose we put a certain amount of number in every places, So they might say, put 50 here, put 50 here, 50, put 60 there, 70, 100, just to divide it up. So if something go wrong, you can still have money stuff to make up the loss and stuff. So we start breaking it down like that. And then, we expanded more so with...
Hang on, but where are you stashing the keys? You still didn't tell me. Where do you stash 60 bricks? That's a lot of coke. That takes up the whole table.
Nah, you put it in an apartment.
Yeah.
You put in an apartment, you have the apartment that you have, even it could be the apartment that you was doing the table work for the dope or the coke, but you got to have an apartment and you got to have security in there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to tell you what happened one time to me, before I got starting this big load, one of my lieutenants, we had like money, guns, and probably about five keys in there in the house. And he got suckered. Him and my other little man, they got suckered because they knocked on the door. Who is it? She said, housing inspector. So it was a girl, and the girl looked good. So they opened and cracked the door with the chain was still on the door, they said, but they kicked in the door. Guys was on the side, they kicked in the door. Tied them up, whatever, and took the money and the drugs and the guns. But see, they were so upset, because they slipped. But I was like, listen, I'm not mad at y'all. I want to find that girl, because that girl I would have got. Because for her to have the balls to do that, to get involved in stuff like that, and she set my people up, I said, nah, we have to find her. But I never found her. But
that was a whole business, being a wolf, being a robber, robbing drug dealers. So would you just have crews of people? Like, how did they get the drop on you? Are they just watching are they cruising around the neighborhood, like looking for who has money? Are you known as a kingpin in the South Bronx, and therefore you have people that are trying to stalk you and see where you go? Like, how do they get that intelligence?
Which one you want me to answer?
I know it's a lot of. How do you know?
No, Johnny, they see you. Yeah. Like, you played basketball before.
Yeah.
So you say, people come to the basketball course, they watch you play, they say, oh, he's good. Let's recruit him. Same thing in the drug game. They see, they see you upgrading. You went from a Honda Accord to a BMW, then a Benz, and then a Maybach or whatever. So they see the jewelry, they see, right. So people talk. So, you got the stick-up kids is all over the place. That so
you haven't moved out of the neighborhood.
I moved out, but okay. I still came to my neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So but when I come somewhere, my security be out there. See, I'm always, everybody always say I was paranoid, but I always come like that. So if I'm coming to meet you to exchange some money or whatever we gonna do, or some drugs, I'm coming with my security. So what happens is they there when I come out.
Mm-hmm.
They get out my car, they there. They upstairs in the apartment, whatever. Everything's got to be on, and we call each other. Peter just pulled up. Peter, and when I used to go out to parties and stuff, we have about 50 people with us. We'll have 25 people outside that don't hang out. They just smoke weed and they have their guns on them. And then we had the 25 people that go in with us. And the owners never, even though they were searching, they never searched me. Like the tunnel, they never searched me because, we had that agreement. So I might come in with 6 guns on me. And then when we get in, I pass them back out to some of my people.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is, when you become a name, they start watching you and they targeting you or plotting. I was a stick-up kid, so I know you plotting. Oh, Johnny got some money coming in. Find out where he live at. Find out, and that's what they do. So you got to expect that. It's all part of the game.
Yeah,
everything's part of the game. You in the hustle game, you can get robbed, kill, or go to jail. Point blank.
So you guys would keep cash kind of as like an insurance policy on the side in case some keys did get stolen. You could then make that up and make your connect whole. So you never came short to the connect.
No, never. Cash was always put away. So,
okay, what were you turning around? Say it's a load of 500 bricks. What do you think your take off of that? Your profit?
My personal take?
Yeah.
You said 500 keys?
Yeah.
I mean, I always see it was with me. It was a little different because my partners, a lot of them was greedy. So my workers, the ones that work for me, they might get like $1,000 a week, $1,000 every couple of days. Where my partners would probably pay their people $500 a week, like a real job. So I just was brought up a different way where I believe if I have a car, they gotta have a car. If I got a nice place, they gotta have a nice place. So even when we went out to eat, when I always went out to eat, my partners, some of my partners were rather at the end of when the check come, they go in their pocket and pay for it. So now you got to think about this. I'm always looking at everything. So these guys that got their girls with them, their girls is probably, I need to get with him. See, I did it different. So we all go in our pockets to pay. So you can't like get the jealousy, the animosity and stuff in there. Because one time, like, I had this thing called from watching not the little Satch Mahoney and them back in the day. The Bowie Boys? You ever heard of them? But they said they used to call Routine 3. So say we all got, say it's all 5 of us right now, and you like a girl. Okay, and I'm the boss. I'm talking about my people around me, not my partners. I'm the boss, and my lieutenants, is there. Say my lieutenant likes somebody. So the girl would be like, looking around, but she might be looking at me because she think I'm the boss. But my lieutenant like her. So I call out Routine 3. So Routine 3 is when we act like you the boss. So everything we do that whole night, like you the boss. Right. So I'll be like, Johnny, how much champagne should we buy? Johnny, how much is, so now the girl thinking you the boss now. So now all that Peter Shue stuff go out the window. Right. So you get with her. So now, and it happens.
That's shrewd.
And one time, one of my lieutenants, he got with the girls, so they start seeing each other, they boom, boom, boom. So I like to take my people to shows and stuff. So we was going to see a R&B show. And we all came with our girls, because you can't come out with me with a girl that you're not going to continuously come out with. I don't want no, you go out with them, your side chicks by yourself or whatever, but when you come out with me, it's got to be your main girl. So when we out going to the show, because I don't want my girl to think that I'm doing that. So she got to see you. If your girl's name is Angie, she's got to see you with Angie all the time. So we went out. We at the place before the show. We in the downstairs before you go up to the auditorium stuff. So I tell my lieutenant, I say, yo, go make sure so-and-so's, make this call, make sure so-and-so's. Now, the girl, his girl, that's the same girl that I put Routine 3 on. She looking like, this telling you what to do, you know, and I can see it in her face. So he don't pay no mind. He just go do what he has to do. So I walked over to her, I said, listen, okay, now you know I'm the boss, but I make this much more money than homie. So that much. So
Okay.
But you like him, you slept with him?
Yeah. I'm fascinated by, I still don't understand how your organization was structured. There's something you're not telling me. You were exceptional by how you organized this monster moving 500 bricks. Explain the difference between your partners and the lieutenants and how that worked. Were you just taking a point off the kilos that you gave to your partners, who then gave it to distributors lower on the chain?
Well, it depends on who it is, because
Enlighten us, please.
Some of my partners is like we're that close. So a point.
Point means $1,000.
I know what he's talking about.
Yeah, I'm telling them. I'm telling the viewer at home.
Oh, and then you know, some of them would take me shopping, you know, stuff like that. I didn't really. Lieutenants is the ones that's under you, your personal format. So lieutenants is under you. That's your street team.
Right.
My partners got their own street team.
Okay, so your street guys, are they New York guys? Are they taking work out of town?
They New York and out of town.
Okay.
But the ones that stay near me is the ones from New York, because I'm from New York.
Yeah.
The ones I run out of town and see, you know, it's because I pop up. Because I might not go there a lot. Because if I got lieutenants or captains or whatever controlling everything, I don't have to be out there. But if something's not right, if the money coming in slow, I need to know why. So, you know, that's when we'll shoot out there and see what's going on. And one time, it's a true story, and this is in Boston. I go out there, and it's freezing outside, but I'm wondering why, you know, money's funny that's coming up to New York. So I go out, and I see there was this worker that I never liked, and I was waiting for him to mess up because I would have killed him. But he's out there busting his ass. And he's drinking the wine, the blackberry brandy, whatever he's drinking. But I said, where everybody at? Where the lieutenants and everything? Where the captain? He's like, they're in the bar. So you out here by yourself? He said, yeah, me and homie. So I went in the bar, and they don't know I'm there. I'm in Boston. So I went in the bar. One of them, he up there boogieing with the, you know, and the other ones just drinking it. I said, yo, when they see me, they was like, oh, what you doing here? I was like, now I know why money's funny. You're in here. I said, so you know, this is what we gonna do. You're gonna empty everything in your pocket and give me now. All your money you got in your pocket, you know? And they dudes was going in their pocket. Yo, man, but come on now. You know you're dead wrong. You got homie on the street by himself. You're not out there watching his back. You're not controlling the situation. We don't have, you know, because this spot was doing good. So it went down to only maybe a kid and a half a week, where it was doing more than that. So I was like, no. Give me your money. Give me all your money. And I got one of my partners with me. I was like, yeah, hold this, man. So we took the money. And we went back to the cribs, because I had, you know, I always get them cribs to live in. I said, listen, man, you don't want to go back home? You don't. So my captain was like, because I got on him hard. He said, so he was like, because he got game. So he's like, I told you I ain't ready for this shoe. I told you. I said, listen. So you want to go back to the Bronx and stay on the corners and do that grimy stuff where you just make peanuts? Or you got your own establishment out here? What you want to do? So he's like, I just want, you know the thing is, and this is real talk, and I put my hand on the Bible. They better be with me and make less money than to be out getting more money. I couldn't understand that. They want to hang out with me. they missed the thrill. That's how I had to start throwing parties because they missed the thrill so much. I said, I'm gonna throw a party. They said, yo, throw one for your birthday. Throw one for your birthday so we all fly in. I said, but if I have a birthday party and you're not finished your work, then you're not coming. So they all of a sudden they bust everything sold. So they come in, we have a black tie affair. That was my first party for my birthday with Keith Sweat and Touch performing. So
okay, so it sounds like you still haven't answered how much money you made.
Because I can't calculate, because I spend so much money too. If I make a few million, I spend it. It goes in, the girls get it, the casinos get it. You can't calculate what you make because it goes. And your money doesn't come right in one shot.
No.
So it's hard. I mean, I'd be a liar. I could be like these pretenders that come in and tell you some crazy stuff. Oh, I made $10 million today. You can't say that.
So it sounds like you were giving work wholesale to your closest friends and partners, people that you considered peers, and then you would take guys from New York and set them up out of town where you would then give material to them and they would break it down to be distributed locally, correct?
But they hooked up with somebody that's out there that we can trust to put us in the game.
Right.
Because if you go in somebody's hood and you're not known and nobody's representing you from that town, then you're gonna have problems. So, DC's known for that. They back in the day, and I have some great DC friends, so shout out to all you. Right. But they known for that. They'll trick you in. That's why they could never have me come out there with coke. They had to come to me and buy it. Right. Because they'll have you come, they'll be like, Johnny, bring me 2 keys. You bring him 2 keys. Johnny, bring me 4 keys. You bring me 4 keys. Johnny, bring me 6 keys. I'll never see you again, Johnny. Right. You be missing in action. You gone. Then got rid of you, took the keys, took the money. So DC was like that back in the day. So,
So it was, and the reason I ask about the structure is because this is really set up almost like a mafia-like structure. You have captains and lieutenants, and then they have workers. We're going to get to it, but were the feds able to put a RICO case on you like that? Or
no, because I never touched nothing but money.
Okay.
So, and none of my people never told on me.
Right.
See, you got these other organizations, they get people they can't trust. Just like, these young brothers that get into the gangs and stuff now, you recruit people you don't even know. But my people came from the ground up with me. Right. So I'm not going to tell on nobody. So if anything go wrong, we got stopped one time in the cab, and the gun was I took the gun. It's mine. 3 of us in the car, and they will all tell you that. I don't never let nobody else take it. My partners be like, "Yo, what is wrong with you? You the boss. Let one of them take it." I said, "How we know they're gonna hold up? Yeah. I know I'm gonna hold up. If one of them break down and they start telling on everything, and it's gonna go ease your way to y'all too, right? Because one of my partner's people got caught, knocked off and stuff like that, and he's a midget, and he ended up telling on me, saying they was getting the drugs from me since 1980. I was already in jail during my time. Right. He said at the trial, he said we was getting the coke from Peter Shue since 1980.
That's how much he's telling. He's making shit up.
This was in 2001, 2002. So I came to court and diffuse some of that stuff. I said, no, he's lying. Right. Never happened like that. And he's always been a liar. And, he was bullied because he was a midget. And, he said he was going to get them back, and this is what he's doing. And he was like, well, my partner, and this is how a lawyer I am. And my partner would tell you that. He said, I said, my partner never killed nobody. I was the bad guy. I was the one with the temper. They had to keep me out of trouble. I said, he was nothing like that. Mm-hmm. He's a small time drug dealer, but I'm lying. I'm just lying. Yeah. Because all they could give me is 5 years for lying, perjury in court. Mm-hmm. But I was trying to save them from getting life. Right. Which I did. But people always say me. Now, even to this day, if something goes, if they catch you on something, and I was hanging out with you at the ball game last week. Oh, we know Peter Shue gave you them drugs. We know Peter. That's why I stay in the house. I don't go nowhere because I know my name is still on their minds.
Right.
And like even when back in the day when I don't know if you knew Wolf, and Wolf was bodyguard for Puffy one time. So Wolf came home from the feds back in the day and 80 something whatever. He told me, he said, "Yo, shoot, they're showing your picture of everybody in the feds." I said, "Why?" He said, "Yo, somebody's telling you crazy." So they was actually showing my picture to guys. Can you give us any information on this guy? But I never touched drugs. I only touched money. And I thought at the time, because I only touched money, I'd be all right. And I never knew nothing about conspiracy. And that's what caught up with me, because I didn't know you could get a conspiracy charge.
Now, what was the height of your guys', did you guys have a name for your organization?
No.
Oh, that's smart.
That's kid stuff.
That's kiddie stuff,
Yeah,
right?
That's from watching movies.
Right.
We don't do that.
Well, no, a lot of
Just
stupid,
like
of stupid crews have names: Sex, Money, Murder. You know,
But see,
all that.
that's a gang. We
Right.
wasn't a gang. We was organized. What's it called? Because Pistol Pete, the Black Pistol Pete, the real one.
Yeah.
That's my family. That's my people. I love him. You know. So he's like a younger brother to me, and he was playing basketball when I started him out.
Right.
So, you know, he might have caught some of the traits I did, you know, but he was just doing him. But when you get a name and you start naming your people, that's when you start getting in trouble with the law.
Right.
Just like tattoos, having tattoos on you, that's a form of identification. I don't do nothing
Well,
of
the
that
Supreme Team, they were the most flagrant with their branding. You know, they had jackets, for God's sakes.
Supreme Team, we was all in the same circle.
Yeah.
So Supreme is cool with us. Prince, I just went to Prince's welcome home party. You know, I love Prince to death. And the rest of the Supreme Team, shout out to Shannon, Tucker, and Shannon, Tucker, and Teddy, that, you know, and the rest of them that I didn't really meet, that's might still be away, but it's so many of them. But they was from Queens. They good people.
So after you started blowing up and you guys had this massive coke connect, the Colombians, did you ever go back to heroin?
I had some offers from another connect, right? Because he used to laugh and tell, you know, he had a joke with me, because he used to tell people, you know, like when I come to his house, he said, "Here, shoot, take these 2 keys to Heroin, because you know I don't want to mess with it." And he's like, he'll tell his friends, "Look, Peter," he said, "Peter's scared of Heroin," you know, and they used to be laughing. But I couldn't get the mix. The mix. Listen, Heroin money is way more than coke money. Anybody could tell you that. But if you don't have the right mix, you know, then it's a problem.
Yeah, but if you can just give it to somebody wholesale and make $50,000, $30,000 just by passing it off, maybe he has the mix.
But the Heroin became garbage out there.
Right.
I seen it was like, you know, the texture of it was garbage. And it, like I said, it was only holding a half. Maybe, you know, there's some guys that was, I'll say one person, one group, because they was close to me, Pure Energy. Now, Pure Energy was doing crazy numbers. And Pure Energy, you know, the boss told me, his boss, you know, the boss of them said, "Yo, shoot, I can only put like a half on this at the most." I said, "Why?" He said, "Fast turnover, and the Heroin's not holding like that." I said, "Damn, this was holding for like 40 hits before. You take a 40. Back in the day, it's not like that no more."
So
like,
there's only so much, since it can only be stepped on a little bit, there's only so much you can sell it for, right?
Especially with the competition.
Right. That makes sense.
Now, the days of Frank, you know, we were talking about Frank Matthews earlier, Frank Matthews, Nicky Barnes, and Frank Lucas, or whoever else was out there at that time. You know, they could
of course,
hit it with a 40.
Totally different times.
And you know, you probably making so much money, crazy money. I wish I was. I guess I wish I was there that time, because anything could have happened. But I would have liked to have that opportunity when I was hustling to hit it with a 40 and see what would have happened. You know.
Okay, so you never really went back to heroin once the
Nah.
coke started just blowing up.
Nah, I did.
That makes sense.
I get some heroin, and I try to get somebody to mix it and see if I could put it out. Because if I could have found the mix, then I would have grabbed some. So I would mix it, be in the house mixing it, just playing around with morphine and bonita and whatever else they put in there. We put in there, and I take it to the streets, and the dope fiend be like, "Man, this is good. This is good." I said, "What is it? 0 to 10?" "Man, it's a 10. It's a 10. So then I go back in the house and mix up some more and take it back out. "Nah, this ain't the same, B. This ain't the same." I want to bust him in his head because I know they're playing games now because it's free. So I was like, "Man, this is the same thing. I just mixed it the same way." He said, "Nah. So, but I couldn't get the mix because and I got to respect that because the Puerto Ricans at the time, which is some of them close friends of mine, they wasn't giving up that mix.
That's fascinating. So I always wondered why the Puerto Ricans had the heroin game in New York on such a lock. And did you say it's because they had the recipe and they weren't giving it out?
They had the mix.
That's,
I mean, if
doesn't the connect help too? Like having the right supplier?
And that helps because if you get it for a good price and you get an abundance, it helps. But still in all, the dope fiend got to feel it.
Yeah.
So the dope fiend's not feeling that mix, then what you gonna do? And the dope fiends out there, they get hooked on the mix. So if you come back with something, it could be better than they've been having. But they'll be looking for this label.
Right.
Oh, I want this, I want that, I want this, I don't want that. And that's just how it is. So, anything that's a headache to me, I don't like to deal with. Coke wasn't a headache. Coke is not a headache.
No.
So, I'm talking about moving wise. So all you could bottle this up, put it out.
How long would it take you to move 500 keys?
We would try to do it. We would try to do it in a month.
Yeah.
In a month.
Okay.
It depends. It depends because some people I know will come and want to buy straight up 40 keys at one time. Wow. So, boom, that's a sale, and you don't make crazy profit on that. Yeah. So if you if you sold it for 20 something and the key was going for 10, you paid off some of the keys you got left over. You see what I'm saying? And that's how I used to do. I never spent that money. If I had if the bill, like going to buy a car, if your bill's $500,000. Say your bill's $500,000, but you're selling extra prices on everything. So when you get to $500,000, it clears your bill. So now everything else is profit. So all your keys you got left over, you push that out there. That's all yours. Yeah. So if anything goes wrong, you ain't got to worry about nothing. But you got to get that bill money first.
And did you work with the same Colombian suppliers the whole time, or did you actually make other connects?
No, I had no other connects too. I had some people in the Bahamas. It's different. I dealt with some Italians. It depends on, who's going to come with you with the right price. Now the main connect I had, he said he'll never have a drought. He'll never be empty. And he was empty. And that's how I caught this case when I got the 25 years, because I had to gamble. And I thought these people would sell drugs, but they was federal agents. So what happened was, and this was Madonna's friend Arlene Brickman that set me up, but Madonna was involved in that whole thing. So I'm thinking I'm getting the keys and they're giving me, and I'm so stupid, and I see when you can admit your stupidness, then you're a real person. Like you got people in denial. I was real stupid because how can I be getting these good prices in this drought? So when I went in and I started doing this 20-some years, I was like, I need to kick myself in the ass. And I used to tell my friends while we talking and I was like, yeah, shoot, you should have never fell for that. But they was giving me a good price. And it was never no drugs because it's the feds.
Right.
So I showed up with my money because I said, well, let me test this out because I don't know, I never dealt with y'all before. So I'm bringing $120,000 to y'all. And I brought them $120,000.
Now, who are these people supposed to be?
Drug dealers.
Right. Who were they though? Were they supposed to be guys from New York? Were they Colombians? Were they
Italians?
They were Italians.
Supposed to be. supposed to be. So that's how the story. You want to hear the story how I got
Sure. But since that's kind of how you took your fall, I guess let's talk about the parties, because that's when you guys were at your height in the early 90s, right?
Yeah.
That's
89 we started.
Yeah. And how long did it take you to build up to this like multi-million-dollar organization? You got there pretty quick.
That's easy. With the parties or with
with the drugs.
Oh, the drugs was that first year.
Overnight, right?
That first year we was rolling.
And so parties became a way for you guys, one of the ways for you guys to wash some of your money.
Yes.
So tell us about, you throw your first birthday party for you. You just planned on being a one-off, right? Mm-hmm. And then it was a smash, so you kept going. So yeah, tell us about this like party promoting business.
Well, I didn't do it as a business. I just wanted to let my people enjoy themselves because they was working hard and they, you from New York. Your family's in New York. Now you in Kabuka somewhere selling drugs. You don't get to see your family that much and your kids. So I said, but listen, is either that or you don't get no money. Mm-hmm. Now you get money. You getting $7,000, $8,000, and you can just send home money every week, and your families, went from rags to riches. So what you do is on you. So they, like again, a lot of them wanted to stay with me than to go and get this crazy money. And I was like, yo, your dudes is crazy, man. Because I said, listen, I got a new state. I said, one of y'all can take it. I'll split 50-50 with y'all. Nobody raised their hand. Nobody wanted it. I was like, yo, what is wrong with you?
Where was it?
I would have.
Where was it? What state?
Baltimore. I said, yo, I'll. This is the beginning. I said, I would have been like, I'm out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you rather stay here and get $5,000 to $7,000 a week when you could get 50% cut on everything we doing because that you controlling that state? I couldn't believe that. But these dudes want to hang out with me so much, man. And I appreciate the love because that just shows you that they really love me as a brother. But okay, you should have went and checked it when I did the 25 years, so you could have been with me.
Yeah, right.
You should have just committed a crime. I used to joke with them about that. You should have just did a crime just to come in there with me, since you want to hang out with me all the time. But so I do that one party, and then, hey, it's always a wise guy. Let's do it once a month. Oh yeah, really? I said, that's what you're trying to do now? Yeah, because everybody else's birthday's coming up, and we know you want us to finish everything before a party. So if we finish everything, will you let us have the party, throw the parties? So I started laughing. I said, all right, we're gonna do it. So because we had such a good time at that first party, it's like it was a black tie affair.
What do you guys have it?
Omni Hotel.
Okay.
It's on 55th Street, I think, and 7th Avenue, if I remember. But like, we're talking years ago. But it was I had parties everywhere. But what made this party it was the first one. Everybody was I gave out money for the best dressed female, the best dressed couple, the best legs, BBLs wasn't really out there then, so it was natural bodies, but girls still had crazy nice legs. So we have a leg contest and stuff like that. So I was just giving out free money to all this stuff, and we had the best DJs. We had everybody just looked so good, and that was my goal. If I was going to throw a party, I wanted to go back to them TV shows.
Saturday Night Fever?
No, the TV shows, not the movies. Dynasty.
That's what I meant, yeah.
Dynasty, Knots Landing, and Dallas. You remember when they had parties? They'd be dressed up. They'd be I wanted to show that we could do that.
Right.
So my parties used to be based to have people come looking good. So you see people looking so, I got a couple of videotapes somewhere, but the feds took most of our videotapes from the parties when they broke into my apartments. I had different apartments all over the place. They took Rolexes, Minks, everything, So it was never there.
Okay, so how did the parties become more of like you go from just being one-offs to actually like money laundering schemes? Were you charging people to get in?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
So
we
please go into that.
We charge people to get in, and we charge, but basically, I didn't care about the money coming in. I just wanted to have fun and wash out money. And like,
So did you have holding companies? Like when you were getting back those checks, if you charge, obviously when you're washing money, you're going to lose some. That's
yeah.
the tax that
Well,
all drug dealers pay.
I was getting ready to incorporate myself and everything, but when I got locked up, I'm getting ready to quit the game.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to do that. And that's what they say. When you get ready to get out, that's when you either get killed or you go to jail.
For sure.
And that's what happens. They always say that it's like a jinx. But I'm getting all this money and I'm putting it back. I don't never take credit for things because this is my personal relationship with God. Like sponsoring for the homeless, Thanksgiving meals, clothes, everything. I sponsored a lot of that. People don't even know to this day. And I don't take credit for that because, again, you got people out here doing that. Yeah, I did this. That's not for the society. That's for God. Your relationship with God, or Allah, who you believe in, that's your relationship with them, with Him. And you're supposed to get your rewards when you get to heaven.
Yeah.
So my thing, that's the way I was brought up. So I never brag. I never, you would never know to this day if I got $1 or I have $1 million. You would never know. I'm the same person all the time. I never changed my personality. It's always the same. Where a lot of people, they start getting money, and I don't want to name names because a lot of them was young, and I'm talking about celebrities too, where they never got money before. So it messed them up. Because if you never had, when you get, it's like, oh my God. But if you had before, it's like, it goes up and down. You have, you might be $100 million a day and have nothing the next day. So you have to be able to adjust with life. I adjust with anything that's going on. If I'm with a bunch of broke people, I can fit right in. I'll cry broke too. We broke, I need, when we gonna get something to eat? But if I'm rich, I'll fit in with them too. So the parties, I just wanted to see how people reacted at the parties. Can they upgrade themselves and make themselves fit what I used to see on the TV shows? And they did. They get their hair and nails done. The brothers have the secret jackets to hook up the they showing their Rolexes, their Cuban bracelets and everything with the diamonds in it. So it was that was so fascinating to me. And I used to just sit at the party and just watch everybody. And I used to outdo everybody else's party. That's why nobody could throw a better party than me at the time. Because if you go to get a comedian, hire a comedian, I'm gonna get a comedian and an artist. If you get an artist, I'm gonna get 2 artists. I'm gonna get until your money can't hold it. Yeah. So you can't afford your overheads are gonna be messed up. Yeah. So I didn't care about that.
How much would you spend on artists at these parties?
It depends on who's hot, the hottest ones.
Who would you have?
Like Keith Sweat.
Yeah.
Oh, they might cost $5,000 at that time. Keith costs about $40,000 now.
Dave Chappelle. When he first got to New York, he started comedy at like 14 in the mid 80s. Some of the ways that he survived as like a broke comedian is drug dealers from Brooklyn would pay him to go perform, and he'd be coming back on the subway, this skinny kid from Maryland with 20 G's in his backpack,
And he deserves it. He's funny.
Yeah.
He's funny.
Guys like you paying these cats.
But I used to just outdo everybody. And then, if I get 3 headliners, right? The lowest one would get the less money. The one that comes on last, that's going to get the most money.
Of course.
So In Touch was a group that made a song called Too Hype. Put on my best, can't believe that she said yes. So that was the hit at that time, but they was just coming out. So I had them perform, I had Keith perform, and I had a comedian perform. So,
But through the course of these parties, you start to become more known by mainstream New York high society, right? You step out from just being this street celebrity in the ghetto to now being this kind of Manhattan socialite
And
in a way.
That's what people says, and that's what the movie people say. That's why my story is different from everybody else's, because I crossed over. So I got to a point where I didn't know I was a drug dealer, a celebrity, a movie star or something, you know, because
Right.
this one time, this is a true story, on my mother's grave, this guy came over to me. He said, Mr. Shue, can I have your autograph? And I was like, so I'm looking around like, am I getting punked? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even though punk wasn't out there. But I was trying to see if one of my friends punking me. So he's like, no, for real, man. My daughter seen you on a music video box with Ralph Madonna show. She said, she's in love with you. I said, how old's your daughter? She said, 6 years old. I said, oh man. I said, so he gave me a shirt and I signed it and took a picture of him to give to her. But that's the type of things I was going through.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, even now, one time when I came home, I'm getting on the Metro North because, you know, I'm just home. This is like in October, probably November, December of 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on the train platform. So it's like these young dudes, they look like high school kids. They looking at me, right? And I'm like, oh man, don't tell me these going to want to try me, you know, try to rob me or something like that. So I'm like, you know, I'm paranoid because, you know, I just got out. So I'm looking at these dudes trying to play it off. So they start easing over to me. So I said, oh man. So I'm thinking, you know, in my mind, so which one should I try to take down first? You know, in my mind. So when they get on me, the dude says, hey, aren't you Peter Shue? Yeah. Now I'm on the defensive, like, yeah, I'm Peter Shue. Like,
right.
He said, nah. Yo, my mother, my father, whatever, they talk about you all the time. They love you, blah, 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 blah. I said, oh, so I'm like, oh man. So I started laughing. They said, can we take a picture with you? Can we take a picture? And I took pictures with them, and, you know. And then one time, the dude was selling CDs. I'm with my girl. He's selling CDs outside, walking by with the CD. He got the CDs in his hand. He said, yo, buy a CD for me, buy a CD. I said, listen, man, I don't, you know, want to buy no CDs today. You know, I'm chilling. This was down here.
Yeah, Canal.
So he's like, he says, if I told you, I know who you was when you bought a CD. So I said, what are you talking about? Oh, these are young dudes. So I said, who am I? He said, you that guy. I said, who? He said, Peter Shue. He said it like that.
Wow.
I said, oh man. So my girl said, well, you got to buy a CD now. I said, yeah, I got to buy it. But you know, it's good to be known for the good things. It's bad to be known if people, I don't want people following my footsteps on the bad things I did.
No, I know that, but this is kind of part of the story, you know, you meeting celebrities. Like, did you start having people like Madonna? Because famously, you knew Madonna. She had a crush on you.
Yeah.
Was she coming to these parties?
No. I met her. You want to know this, how we met? I'll tell you how we met. It's
Sure.
those situations. There was a party around the corner at the Crane Club for Chaz. Chaz passed away. He has the movie coming too about a bank robbing, because that's what they did back in the day. But that was like my brother Chaz from Black Hand Productions, and people would tell you he has a good name. If you ask people about him. So he was having a birthday party over there. So they was at the Crane Club, and Chaz and Wilson's is around the corner, and that was the groupie spot on Sundays. So he's over here, you know, and I was over there at first, but it's too crowded, it's too packed. The Crane Clubs couldn't hold all them people, so it was too crowded. So I broke out and went over to Chaz and Wilson's for a little while. So Chaz and Wilson's is like, let me give you a scenario. It's a long bar, all the groupie girls are standing there trying to come up, you know, with the celebrities, and then the celebrities got the tables in the back, and you'll see Robert De Niro, Woody Harrelson, Andre Harrell, you know, all them type basketball players, because me and Oakley used to go there all the time. So I had an 8-seater. They gave me an 8-seater every time I came in. Oakley had a booth, but my 8-seater was 8 people. His booth was 6'6". So I used to mess with him about that. So I come to Chazzy Wilson's, and I'm chilling at the bar with the two of these groupie girls that I might try to score on. So I'm talking to them, and my man came over to me. He's like, "Yo, Madonna want to meet you," right? So I said, "Madonna?" He said, "Yeah." She said she likes your eyes. I said, "Well," tell Madonna, you know, I like my women black like my coffee, because I got that off of Airplane. Remember that movie, Airplane?
Classic. Love
So
it.
I love that line. He said, that little kid said to the girl, and he said, can I sit down? He said, I like my men black like my coffee. And this is a little kid, so I laugh every time I see that. And so he went back and he told her, and you know, I'm still talking to the girls, and somebody tapped me on my shoulder, and it was her. So I turned around, I said, "Oh shoot!" She said, "That was a racist, comment." And I was like, "I was just joking. No." I said, so she said, "Hi, my name's Madonna." I said, "I know you are. I'm Peter." Boom, boom, boom. So she said, "Will you come to my table for a little while and talk to me?" So I said, "Sure." So now, because homie had left, so I went to the table. I was talking to her. We kicking it.
Are you starstruck at all? Like, do you
No,
care?
I never was starstruck.
Okay.
Just like, it's taking, these people be groupies and run around, jumping and take pictures with guys. I know all these guys.
Yeah.
So isn't that nothing? I'm the star in my
Right.
eyes. So if they should be wanting to take a picture with me.
Right.
So I don't chase no limelight.
Yeah.
So I go, sit down where we kicking it, boom, boom. And then she's like, can I keep in touch with you? I said, yeah. So I give her my beeper number. She gets my, I get her stuff. And she gives me a kiss on the cheek. She breaks out.
Was she hot? Did you like that kind of, of course, early Madonna was
Madonna
beautiful.
I liked about her,
Oh.
her legs. Her legs is fabulous.
Good legs.
Yeah, her legs. She ain't had no butt at the
She's
time.
kind of, I was going to say, though, she's skinny.
She got a butt nowadays. She got that BBL. I think.
Sure, yeah,
But she
yeah.
didn't have a butt then. So I go to the I go back to the party. Now, I tell you, it was too crowded. So somebody shoots up in the air because it was getting crazy in there. So everybody left and they arguing outside, and Chaz was drinking, so he's happy, and everybody else was drinking. And I was like, some of my Brooklyn people was there and stuff. So somebody said, "No, we all from Queens." I was like, listen, everybody ain't from Queens. From different boroughs, so y'all just go home and chill, because I didn't want things to escalate. So my beeper went off, and it was a 212 beeper call. So I called the call back. Oh, I was supposed to take this other girl off, and she was. I always wanted her to. I never got it. She was, because she broke out because of the shooting. I wanted her. That was my day. That's why I came to that party. I wanted her. I didn't get it. But anyway. So I answered the phone. She said, I said, "Who this?" She said, "It's Madonna. What you doing?" I said, "Nothing now, because the party over."
Yeah.
She said, "Why don't you come down to my place?" So I said, where you live at? She said, 64th Street, Central Park West. So I'm on 79th Street. Hop, skip, and jump. So I went down there, and she had the loft. So I went up in the elevator. And she came to the door with the negligee, see-through negligee on. So, you know the rest.
So you smashed? Is that what you're trying to say, as the kids say? Now, did she know you were a drug dealer? Did these celebrities who
I didn't know she knew in the beginning, but she did know, because the one that was setting me up, he set me up through her, and he knew. He told her.
Okay, before we get into that, did these celebrities who came to your parties, these actors, musicians, et cetera, did they know, did the greater public who knew Peter Shue from the parties know your backstory?
They probably did.
Know where all the money came from?
Nobody never came to me and said, hey, don't you sell drugs?
Right.
They never came to me, but I have to believe, they knew, because where did I just come from?
Yeah.
Like you just put water in the plant and I just grew. They knew and stuff, and I was still conducting businesses at parties. Like we had this club we used to go to all the time called Bentley's. So if you came from out of town and you wanted 20, 30 keys or whatever. And I have you meet me at the club. We hanging out, we partying. And I have my lieutenant take your lieutenant. And we had the big van or whatever we had in the parking lot down the block. And that's where the coke was. And y'all give us the suitcase of money or whatever, the duffel bag, and he exchanged it. And I never had to count it because they know not to play with my money. So we did it like that. So we was making exchanges like that. Right. And you know, it's I was trying to kill two birds with one stone. Sure. Because I might want to hang out, but I know you coming in to get something, so I got to make things happen. So, all right, let me see. Now, Johnny's coming in at 10. Okay, so I'm going to get these keys down here, and we're going to hang out tonight at Bentley's because you're like that, because the girls and the champagne and whatever. So you get to kill two birds with one stone, so you good. And you get your drugs, and the next day you go on, and then you call me, and when you get back to your state and tell me, yeah, you know, everything landed, and we good. Thank you, and you know.
What year did you meet Madonna?
Early 90s.
Okay, and you didn't catch her case until 95. So you suspect, or maybe you know, you're about to tell us, through somebody that she knew, that person led the DEA to you. Can you explain that?
Well, I don't have it on paper. That's why I don't say the person's name.
Okay, but you don't have to say the name.
If I knew his name, I mean, if I knew he did it, then I would have no problem saying the name. But it's something, you know, fishy. And the thing is, because I could wonder why would she do that? You know?
Well, how long had you guys been dating? I should say
over a year. But she was like, yo, listen. She was trying to have my baby. She was trying to get pregnant. I mean, I go to the house and smash, and she would lift her legs up. I come back from the bathroom, she got her legs up like because she's trying to get the sperm to drop down. I'm like, yo, what you doing? So, you know, so she scared me with that because I like, oh man. So, you know, at the time I had a nice, pretty girl. She was black and white.
Was Madonna your side chick?
Yeah.
That's so dope.
Basically, so Teresa was my girl. So I was like, so I went, you know, then I'm taking the places, you know, I'm taking Madonna places, and I got the place for her to do the video for this song called The Secret. And if you look at the video, you'll see it's an Oriental dude. I was supposed to be in that video. That was supposed to be me. Yeah. But I got caught because my girl found out about Madonna because her friends, you know, were always telling on somebody. So they was like, Peter was seen at Madonna at the Ruckus. Peter was seen because I was the first one that ever took Madonna to the Ruckus. She'd never been up there.
You took her to Rucker Park?
Yeah.
On 125th?
Yeah. No, 155th.
155th, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so when we went up, you know, everybody was starstruck when she came up there and stuff like that. But so we chilled, and then we was driving through Harlem and stuff, and my beeper's going off, and it's my girl. So I pulled her, and she had heard the rumors. So I pulled over. I said, hold on, Madonna, let me go take this call. So I went and got the call. She said, yo, you cheating on me? She going on. She just, yo, crying. I said, listen, it's not what you think. No. I said, I'm just trying to get the video thing for her because I get paid $150,000. I'm gonna give that to you. I don't want the money. So she's going crazy, right? So that made me back up for Madonna because I very care for homegirls. Wow. So I went back to when I went home. That's why I missed the video shooting. I went to me and Teresa's crib. You know, every time I make love to her, because I took her away. We went to Aruba and St. Martin's back to back, but I took her away, and every time I make love to her, she's crying now. You Madonna, I was like, oh man. So I said, you know what? When we get back, I'm dead. I'm cutting off. So I started messing with her. So when I went to the video shoot, because they was in the middle of the video shoot, then Madonna going off for me. She's like, no, you know, because I didn't tell her I was leaving and whatever. She said, you tell me you want to be out the drug game, you want to do this, and I'm trying to plug you in and he'll get you recognized and you just do me like that. So I didn't want to hear her mouth either, so I broke out on her.
So you just broke up with two girls
I
at
just let
the
both
same
of them.
time. That's smart. But do you think that breaking up with Madonna, do you think she then went and told somebody what you were into and that led them to the DEA?
No, because the informant, Arlene Brickman, she testified about all this stuff.
Okay.
And before I broke up with her, she was already setting things up because
Madonna was, or Arlene Brickman?
Arlene.
Okay. Who's Arlene?
Madonna.
Who's Arlene Brickman?
She's the lady that made a book called Mob Girl. She was talking on Italians and everything.
Okay.
If you look up the book Mob Girl, my son said she passed away.
What was her relation to you? Like, how did she know about all this?
I'm gonna tell you.
Okay.
Madonna, she was supposed to do Madonna was supposed to play her in the movie when they come out with it, Mob Girl, because the lady was like a slut, and she was sleeping with all the Italians, but she was getting knowledge from them, and she ended up telling on some of them. So, with Madonna's, we went to this concert on the beach, right in Miami. Man, it had to be 100-something thousand people on that beach, and this is the craziest show I ever seen in my life. I forgot the name of the group, but they, the punk rock joint, but they're spitting onto the crowd. The crowd's they're spitting, and I'm looking at this. Me and my man Mark, I was like, yo, this is crazy. Then one dude in the group pissed on the people. They're like, yes, thank you. And I'm like, I came. So for that whole 2 hours I was out there, my mouth was like this. I can't believe this. Now, we talking about 100,000 people. And then you say you're out there with your girl. You might lose your girl because they throwing your girl, flipping her all through the, and she's rolling and she's flying all through the car. She might be at 2 miles somewhere else now.
Yeah.
The joint was just amazing. I've never seen a show like that in my life. So I was awed by that. I was like, this is crazy. They telling me spit on me, piss on me. I was like, and now that I think about it, R. Kelly should have been there.
Yeah.
You had no part with doing that. But anyway, so when we get back to the crib, we in Star City. She had the crib out in Star City, and Sylvester Stallone lived right next to her.
You're talking about Madonna still?
Yeah, and there was another place that she was trying to get me to get. That was empty. But when we get back to the place, we socializing, the group is there, people. So I go in the kitchen. Arlene Brickman's in there. Now, mind you, at that time, Arlene Brickman was like 60-something years old. She's an older lady. So she's crying, So I'm still to this day, I can't figure this out because how did she know I was going to go in that kitchen? So I came in the kitchen. This is all scripted. There was some kind of plot with this thing, and I didn't see it. It just went over my head. So I'm in the kitchen, and I said, "What's wrong? Why are you crying?" Because I had met her. I haven't met her already. And so Madonna said, "I'm going to play her in the movie Mob Girl." So I said, "What's wrong?" She said, "Oh, I have a lot of problems, Peter." Just like an old lady, talking. So I said, tell me, what's going on? She said, I owe a lot of money. I said, owe a lot of money to who? She said, I'm too ashamed to tell you. So, she's playing games with me, so I'm milking it out of her. And she said, I owe these drug dealers like 300-something. I forgot what it was. It's been so long. So she owes a whole bunch of money. So I said, well, why don't you just ask Madonna for it? She said, because Madonna don't deal with nobody that's dealing with drugs, so I don't want to let her know I was doing, drug deals. I said, okay, sounds reasonable. So she said, if I don't have this money a certain period of time, they said they're going to kill my daughter. So I said, who is these people? She said, some Italians. So I said, all right, so what can you give them to hold them off until we could figure this out? She said, well, I don't know. I just want to give them something. So I came out there with, I think 75,000. I think it was 75. So I gave her, I had my man go upstairs to get the 50,000 out the room and bring that down. And I gave that to her. I said, here. She's like, oh, thank you. You know, don't worry about it. But you should talk to Madonna and try to get the rest of that money. But she's like, no, this will help for now. And if I ever could do anything for you, because I could get, you know, coke and stuff. And I was like, nah, I got my own connect. So, like I said, time go by, and then there was a drop. My connect couldn't come through. Now, I got 15 blocks in New York, and they crying.
In the South Bronx.
No, all over. So they crying. Yo, we need some work. We ain't got no work. She would, you know. So I'm getting tired of them crying, and I remember she told me that she got somebody. So I hit her up. I said, do you still got somebody with the drugs? And she said, yeah. She said, I could put you on the phone with one of them and see what's going on. So I said, all right, let's, you know, see what's going on. So I get the call and I think it's an Italian dude. So I'm thinking it's a mafia dude or whatever. And he said, hey, Peter, how you doing? I said, I'm doing good. He said, yeah, I heard you need some things. You got good references, you know? So he said, a lot of people know you. I said, oh, that's good. I said, so how can you help me? And he told me, I could use so-and-so.
What did you order from him?
This is how I know I was purchasing 8 keys. I think it was 15 apiece.
Wow, that's not a lot of coke for you.
No, I had to test it out.
Right.
And it's only for the 15 blocks.
Right.
And I said, and he was giving me 7 on consignment.
Wow. 7 in a drought and here, pay me when you're done? Who does that?
I should have shot myself in the head. You know what I'm saying?
But when you're go that long without coke, without drugs to sell, you get desperate.
You know, it cost me 20-something years of my life.
Of course.
But see, you know, the thing is that makes it even worse, man. You know, I never felt that I never got into that where I got thirsty. So I was thirsty, you know, and that's not me. I ain't got no problem falling back. We just wait. But these guys kept calling me, Peter, we need what this. I should have killed all of them. Right. But then, because they're the reason I got the time.
But they're the ones that actually need money. The boss, he's rich enough to where he can fall back.
But they have money. They have money too. But, you know, having and spending is 2 different things. Because I always told, you know, my partner told me this, and I related to all them. If you ain't got 100,000 in your stash, you broke.
Yeah.
So you better, and that's that time. Right now, that is way higher than that.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
how much is it now, Portland? How much you gotta have in your stash?
So
you got a stash, you gotta have that.
Yeah.
So, you know, I figured, you know, if they had 100,000 or more, because we should joke about it, I should test them. How much you got in your stash? Oh, 75. Oh, you broke. You know, play around with them. But they should have had enough money to hold them over till the drought was over. You know, forget what I got.
And what were your Colombians telling you? You know, what were they? Would they give you a sense of when the new shipment?
These was the Colombians. This is somebody else, and these people are still active. That's why I'm not going to say that.
Okay.
But the whole thing is, they was telling me, you know, it's going to come. It's going to come. But I said, no, listen, man. You know, you got me out here thinking we'll never be empty, and now we dry. If that's the case, I would have kept some on the side and spoon-fed them. But I wasn't doing that because I felt we was going to always have it. So he's like, no, Peter, we're going to get it. You know, the same old BS. Yeah. But I was dead.
Well, life is life, and, you know, everything happens for a reason, as you say. So you agreed to meet with these Italian drug dealers.
Yeah.
And did they arrest you on the spot, or did they build a bigger case?
No, they arrested me on the spot because what they did, right? I had the money, so I'm in the car with one of my lieutenants. He passed away, but one of my lieutenants is in the car, and he got me an extra 5 years because it's 5 years for a gun. Now, when we was going out there, you know, he wasn't a regular person that would go. That's why this all sounded like The Godfather, you know, like one of the movies where the driver ain't go and there was a setup and they tried to kill, but he wasn't supposed to go. But the other guy was sick, so he was going with me. So I said, grab bring a gun so you make sure we all right. So he comes to get me. He pull up, and he says, "Here." I said, "Here what?" He said, "I bought 2 guns in case we don't know how many people's there." So I felt, you know, I thought about it. Yeah, we might need 2 in case it's a setup. So we go all the way to Long Island and a tofu restaurant. Now, meanwhile, we also had a trailer car come after us because they're the ones that's going to take that drugs. I'm not taking that with me.
Right.
So they'll come and take the drugs and put it in the car. But they park somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when we had the stash cars now. You had to stash the James Bond stuff. You know, you could make the James Bond stuff so everything could open up for you. So when I get to the parking lot of the tofu restaurant, that was naming the restaurant, they sent a Spanish dude. Now, this ain't Italian. So the Spanish dude, he comes over, he's like, "Hey, Peter." I said, hold up. So I'm thinking it's a setup now. I said, "Where's the guy I was supposed to see?" He said, No, he sent me. I'm a worker. So we get in my car, and he says, just like Scarface, "You got the money?" You know, that type of stuff. I said, "You got the stuff?" So he said, "Oh, you know, close by. But he claimed it was in his car. So I said, "I got to see the money first." So I opened the bag and showed him the money. He didn't count it. He just looked. So then he got out the car. And when I said, "Mike, keep the car money." You know, because it just didn't feel right to me. Mm-hmm. He goes back to the car, his car, like he's getting ready to open the trunk. And I'm watching him. And I'm watching the surroundings. And I see him take his hat off. And that was a signal. Mm-hmm. And there's like 30 cars full of, they saw come over everything. And I didn't know who they was at first. I thought it might be somebody trying to rob me. So I went to pull my gun out. I had a 45 at that time. And I went to pull it out. And I seen the badges. They had the things on their neck. So I just threw it back and let them throw me on the ground. And they started kicking me. "Oh, you gonna try to shoot us?" You know, all that stuff they do. So that's what happened with that. So
that's the DEA.
Yeah.
Okay. How long had they been, and you took them to trial?
Because I had 2 hung juries.
Wow.
So, because the conspiracy laws, right? You got to have somebody to conspire with. Now, I can't conspire with a police or informant. So Arlene Bridman's an informant. The DEA's police, feds, whatever. I can't conspire with them.
Right.
Mike was never on none of the tapes. He's never on none of the the tapes, phone tapes. So it's just me and what you call it. So I said, "Listen, if we're playing charades, then if you take me in for pretending to be a drug dealer, because there was never no drugs. They didn't bring no drugs. It was a dry conspiracy. So you bringing me in to do, I'll do time if you bringing me to do a drug case with no drugs, because you play make believe. Mm-hmm. But then they got to go to jail too, the federal agents, because they make believe they was a drug dealer. So, you know, but that didn't work.
So that was your argument. So you took them to the box twice. You took them to trial twice.
3 times. 2 times I got hung juries.
So that must have cost a fortune.
But the whole thing is, they know the laws. They knew, to this day, they couldn't prove no conspiracy against me. They gave me, I did 20-something years on known and unknown. Well, who's the known?
Did they offer you plea deals?
Yeah.
What was their best offer they gave you?
The first deal was 17. I got a hung jury. The second deal was like 10. I got a hung jury. The third deal was 5. I got a hung jury.
Oh, why did you turn down the 5?
Everybody answers that same question. I could give you $1 for that. Because if I got another hung jury, they couldn't take me to trial no more. They would have just gave me income tax evasion.
Okay.
Was that a year or something? Yeah. But anyway, so what happened, because for the $120,000 I showed up with, but what happened was, plus I came in other cases. If you follow me, I came in other cases. So if I don't go to jail, if I don't go to trial and I take the cop out, they was gonna make me cop out to the gun. And the drugs would still be open. Now, if you know the law, that means if another case comes out, they could retry me on their drug case.
I see.
Like when the midget was saying, we got the drugs from Shue since 1980. Right. They could recharge me. And other cases came out, followed me. That's friends of mine at court that was down with my team. That we are all down together. They had cases. 4 years later, 5 years, 6, So dudes was running up on me when they see me in jail. Yo, Shue, you know you're on my case. And they'll show me the transcripts and everything. They got your name in here. So if I would have did that, and everybody say, Peter, you should have took the 5 years, but they don't know what was coming after, because I would have got life.
Because you would have been rearrested on other people's cases.
Bigger cases.
Right.
Because one of my partners had the RICO. He had the bodies, bodies, drugs, and all type of stuff. I would have been on that.
Right.
Because the midget saying they was getting the drugs on me. So now I'm on that. I would have been on that indictment.
So now, it's better to keep your separate case and just do your time.
Because the judge got mad at the prosecutor. On the future cases, not my case, because the prosecutor, I told the judge, listen, can I address something to you? So he cleared the jury out. I said, listen, they got me in the Shue. You know what the special housing unit is. I'm in the Shue for no reason. I did not do no crimes. I was minding my business. I thought I came down here on 2255. They got all the snitches, because all the snitches said if I come to the units, they feel threatened because they think I would try to do something because they telling on my partner. I said, listen, they got me in the Shue for no reason. I'm in here, a shower maybe 3 times a week, the food, So he had told the marshals and stuff, that he told the warden, the prosecutor and the AW, don't let the snitches be on the compound. The snitches should be in the hole, and the dudes that has nothing to do with the case, should be on the compound. So he got mad. So he was like, where did this come from? I said, I had some more. He said, what? I said, the reason this is going on down there where all the non-rats is in the Shue, because I pointed at the prosecutor, she's a black lady. I said, she's having an affair with the AW. And she's a lesbian. They lesbians. So it's like the piano, like.
You knew that?
Yeah, people told me in the jail. So
wow.
I told them, I said, So they was like, the judge got mad. He was furious. So he said, why did you bring Mr. Shue down here? So she was so pissed off at me. She was like, she said, well, we thought we was gonna try to get him to cooperate on the case. He said, did you go see him? No. Is he trying to cooperate? No. Okay, so why is he still here? He said, well, we was thinking about putting him on an indictment. And he's looking over the paper indictment. He said, I don't see his name. Why is he still here? So he's getting furious. This is a judge. So she just went blank. She couldn't say nothing. She just looked down. So he said, get the marshals. Call the marshals in here. So he brought the marshals. The marshals came in. He said, you see what time it is now? He looked up. The marshal looked at the time. He said, listen, if Mr. Shue and the rest of them guys is not out the shoe, by the time this court session closes, I'm gonna show you, he pointed at the prosecutor, I'm gonna show you, the marshals, and I'm gonna show you that lesbian AW, what the shoe looks like. He's talking about locking them all up. So when I got back down there, I was out on the next day smoking. They didn't really keep me in the studio, but they just sent me back to my jail. I thought that was funny. That was the highlight of my whole tip of time.
Well, take the highlight because it didn't do you much good.
No, but you're gonna have your little good times,
Of course.
but you ain't gonna never get
So
back.
I still don't understand. I guess we'll just wrap up, but I still don't quite understand. I guess that's a legal question. People can investigate themselves. Why did taking it to trial and losing make it so they couldn't come back and rearrest you in the feds on other people's indictments and other people's
Because
trials?
You can't. I wouldn't have never I couldn't have been charged for the drugs no more. I couldn't get charged with drugs no more.
Because you had already been
Yeah, once you convicted of drugs,
tried and arrested
and that's that
prosecuted.
same ever. That's the same ever. You can't get tried for no drugs.
Okay.
There's no. That's it. Because then that's double jeopardy.
Right.
So once you
I
get
see.
convicted of the drugs, that's it.
I see.
So
Okay.
that's basically what it is. But
Wow, that's an odyssey. Because do you feel lucky that you didn't get a life sentence? Because certainly with the all the people that you controlled and commanded, the amount of weight that you moved, I mean, there's guys that'll never come home that move less than that, you know?
But you got to have your team has to be right. If you notice
But do you feel lucky? Like, do you feel like that was, some kind of divine intervention? Like Boy George didn't sell as much drugs as you. He's never getting out.
Boy
That's
George
an
sold a lot
example.
of drugs. Boy
I
George
know,
sold-
Peter, but I'm just
Boy
asking you a
Boy
question. Do you
George,
feel
but they had
lucky that
Heroin.
you're not doing
See,
life?
That's another crew. That's Heroin. And I know all of them, but they sold. Listen, when you doing life right off of something, nobody knows what life is until you do it. You can't experience. A person doing 20 years don't know how it feels to do life. A person doing 10 years don't know how it feels to do 25 because they never did it. But to me, feeling lucky, no. I don't feel lucky because of this. My mother got sick, she died. I miss my children's childhood, I missed the best years of my life. That 20-something years, that's when when you first growing up, right? You trying to find yourself in life, that's in your teens. Yeah. You're supposed to start feeling yourself a little bit, getting some kind of, what you want to do in life, what's your agendas and stuff in the 20s. Then in your 30s, when you reach your 30s, you're supposed to be stabilized. You're supposed to have stability, job, money, life insurance, businesses, whatever. So if you don't have that, then you're lost. So I got everything taken away from me
Did you have to forfeit? Did you have to forfeit money?
They forfeited the money they took from me that day. They didn't find nothing else.
So they didn't get anything else?
Nah, they could never get nothing else.
They didn't have any property or anything like that?
No, well, the property I had was under somebody else's name. The places I had was rental joints. Most of the place, because we had a bunch of places we rest our head. Because I'll be this place, I'll be that place,
Right.
And the game is just like I tell you, it's a dirty game, and I don't recommend nobody gets in there. And then a lot of guys can't do time, so you don't want to go to jail. So do something else. And then a lot of these young brothers out here is getting killed, and they listening to these older guys that's steering them wrong. I don't never tell nobody to do this, what I did. I don't never tell nobody there's no glorification in it. I always been like that type of person where, if it's me, That's my judgment. It's on me. I don't be like, yo, Johnny, you need to sell drugs. Or Johnny, you need to do this. Or Johnny, nah, everything ain't for everybody.
Yeah.
Many may come, but few are chosen. So the fact that I got caught up in that life, I never would wish that on nobody else. And even with my kids, I would never want them to do what I did.
Yeah.
I would never want them to go through that, because as much as people say it's nothing to do, jail, you could do that. Man, I'm saying you need to be whining and crying in jail.
Mm-hmm.
See, you know, these dudes, it's funny because I seen them in jail. You know, I go to the Shue and everybody would tell you, nobody can say that I'm whining and crying there. Only time I cried when my mother told me she was dying.
Oh.
I cried then. Or if I hear something that they sick and I can't get to them, that would bother me. But as me being the Shue and we locked down and I'm jumping around, I'm sending magazines to everybody's cells and I'm cursing out the water. Hey, I slept with your wife last night, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why they poisoned me, because they poisoned me and that's how I almost died twice.
Wow.
So, you got the other guys in there though. These are, you know, you would know some of them, or you might have videotape interview, so they'd be like, you said, damn, I thought they was tough guys, gangsters.
Right.
They in the whole, man, I don't wonder how long we gonna be in here. I'd be like, yo, are you serious? Your time ain't stopping.
Yeah.
And regardless where you do it. It was breakfast in bed for me.
Yeah.
Shit, I ain't gotta get up. I ain't getting up for nothing. Count time. All right, you. I ain't getting up. Here's your food, all right? And now, you know, if you don't get up though, what they do, they play the kid game. When you go to the yard, they come in there, take everything out your cell that you might have got, extra bread, extra cake, extra, you know, so it was, you know, things like that. But as of me, I did time in the right mind where, you know, I'm not saying I'm perfect from it, because you get stressed out and stuff, but I did time where I basically handled it myself. I didn't contact the outside world. People would be mad at me. Why you didn't call, you don't talk? Because it's my time.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't called nobody, oh, bring me some money, I need money, nah. Charles Oakley used to make sure I was good. He used to send money to me. He used to, if I need anything done, because, you know, he tried to come get Michael Jordan to come visit me in Atlanta, but Mike said, I ain't going in there. When I came home, money at the car wash for me.
Yeah.
When my mother passed, he flew up, gave me money for her.
Yeah.
So, you know, those are real friends. Those are true friends. You can't, that's why I love Charles Oakley. You can't get guys like that.
What happened to the rest of your team? The closest guys to you, what was their fate?
One's coming home in 2026.
Wow.
The other one's home. He's chilling.
So nobody got life?
No.
Wow.
Well, the one coming home did, but my testimony got him, made him. He beat the body. No, he beat the bodies. Lost on the drugs, and then the judge tried to enhance him on the bodies, and you can't do that. That's how, because he got life first. They took the bodies off him because they said, if the law came out, if you're not convicted of that charge, you cannot get that sentence. And that's what they did to him. They tried to give him that sentence.
So that law changed in the federal sentencing guidelines?
Yeah. So
okay.
you couldn't do that. Like,
that's what Boy George got sentenced on. So he never got caught with any bodies, but they took into consideration when he was convicted for running a drug enterprise. Yeah. They took the bodies surrounding the case into consideration. They pinned it on him. That's really interesting. They took that away.
That's what they do.
It's a good step though.
But you know, because his co-defendant Ice is real close to me. I don't know if you ever met met Ice. Ice is a good brother. He's real close to me. I mean, there's some good brothers out there that need to get their stories told, and maybe I could get them on the show. Yeah. There's a Spanish lynch mob. You said you did the black lynch mob already, right? You did
Lou Sims.
Lou Sims. All right, he's good. I don't know if you did Favis, but you got.
We'll get into it. But look, we're gonna jump over to the Patreon now because we've been going. But tell us what you've been doing. You've been home about 10 years. It'll be 10 years this year, this October. What does Peter Shue do now? And let's plug the book and you know, tell them where they can find you, man. Life has not stopped. You're back.
I didn't even know it was going to be 10 years. You just threw that on me.
It's gonna be man. You're gonna have another party.
Yeah, me and you go throw one when we get this movie stuff
dude.
going.
I'm down.
So
I'm down.
You said what
have you been doing? Do you still promote parties? Like
we had one in 2019.
Okay.
We had one. Me, my friend Roper Dope that was locked up with me before, and my man Chris Woods who throws parties and he does concerts.
Yeah.
So and Kevin Childs from the Don Diva magazine. We had a party. It was sensational. We had like 2,500 people in there at the casino in Queens.
Oh wow!
And they haven't had another
That's
one
special,
since.
man.
And it was real nice. So we did that, and I'm doing the movie stuff and.
Yeah. And the book. Tell people where they can get the book. We put it in the intro, but tell people where they can.
My cousin handles the book, so I forgot. Just download my name, and it'll show where the book goes.
Peter Shue story.
Yeah, because I forgot. My cousin Tevy, he handles the book sales, so he was doing that because he put the book together while I was in jail.
Mm-hmm.
I just wrote the stuff and he put it together, so I let him handle all of that. So. I know it was on Amazon before, it was at all these places, but I don't know where they at now. And if they want directly to order a book, they could call his number and he'll send the book to them at, his number is 917-328-5295 and tell them they want a copy of the book. Now, if they want me to sign it, then he has to bring the book to me and I sign it, and then he'll send it to them. Because I get those requests sometimes to sign it. But I don't hardly keep books. Just like my son handles all the PR stuff. He does,
Well, they can look you up. The link will be to your Instagram, so you can DM Peter Shue on Instagram. The link to the Amazon link will be in the description to go buy the book. And yeah, man, exciting.
OG Peter Shue is our business Instagram. And the real Peter Shue is me.
Okay.
So all the business stuff goes to him.
Okay.
And then we on Facebook, we on 24-hour call. I'm a people's person, so I get to see everybody. And when I go out and they want to take pictures or hug me or whatever, because I'm gonna give a shout out to all the brothers that stay in my corner, and that's guys like Jada Kiss and Nas and all the rappers, LL Cool J, because LL Cool J in the summer put my name in his record, in his first hit single, The Force. You hear my name in that. And somebody just put my name in their record too. And their tracks, but they keep me relevant.
Yeah.
So they always keep my name rotating on a song or a T-shirt. Like guys makes T-shirts, they'll put Peter Shue, Guy Fisher, Pistol Pete. I find that heartwarming. Yeah. Even though I don't want the people to remember me for that, I want the people to remember me for the good things I do. So there's a whole bunch of good things I did and a whole bunch of people that I helped.
Well, let's talk about that on the Patreon, patreon.com/TheConnectShow. I've been trying to do this episode for a long time. We finally made it happen. It was an honor to sit down with you, man. It really was. I mean, they really don't make cats like you anymore. I know they say that about everybody, but Mr. Shue, Mr. Peter Shue, you've come a long way, sir.
Hey,
I really appreciate it, man.
You know what? I remember a couple of years ago when we was trying to put this together, and you told me, you said, don't worry, I'm gonna get you on this.
We had to get some things right on our end. But yeah, dude, now we're here in New York, and it's
then, like I said, when my son found out, because I couldn't remember, I had you confused with somebody else, and when he said Johnny Mitchell, I said, Johnny, I know that name. He said, Johnny Mitchell, he's like just as big as Vlad TV. Then both of them is like, and we had did Vlad TV. So I said, and then it dawned on me, I said, that's Johnny, that's it. Okay, and it came to my brain, and I was like, oh man, because I have so many people coming at me. I have some, people that I did time with, they be like, Peter, you don't remember me? I said, nope. Or they'll say, yo, you don't remember Joe that was in there? I said, nope. Because so many people I corresponded with over the years, and even now when I'm home, it's like my son got to remind me who this is because I don't remember a lot of people. And then we got the the celebrities we got to remember. We got the ball player because we go to the big three all the time. Shout out to Ice Cube and them, and shout out to Royce White, and shout out to Dime Magazine.
Yeah.
These are all the people, they support me. All these people support me, so I like to support them too. All the rappers, all the DJs, you know, all the people that just got, there's people who steal my basketball shirts, taking no prisoners. You know, from the Ruckers that I had teams in, they still got them shirts, and they'll send me pictures of the and I, you know, it's just.
You're a New York legend, man, and I love this city, and I love the history of it, and I love the history of the game. I do, even though it's, you know, it involves selling drugs and some bad things, but I don't care. I'm still fascinated by it, and you are like the leader of that. So you were chosen. That's what's interesting. You said many will come, few are chosen, but you kind of were chosen, and you've worn this burden to the best of your ability. So
to me, any boss or anybody that, because people, they'll say I'm the greatest of all time and stuff like that, but anybody that didn't cooperate, to me, should be on that list.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about, you know, that's a lie, because a lot of them passed away. And, you know, you're talking about, like Guy Fisher deserves his props. Prince of them deserves, it's a whole Supreme team. Ronnie Bump, I don't know, you heard of Ronnie Bump?
Yeah.
That's another giant. I mean, you got so many people, Boy George and them, Ice and them, Lynch Mob, the Spanish Lynch Mob, those are like my family. They deserve all. You know, there's a lot of people out there, and that's why I tell people, you know, I know people would say, oh, why you ain't do Peter Shue's movie yet, right? And I'm not gonna say that. I don't advocate for myself. My son do, but I don't. You know why? I say, all right, you don't want to do nothing for Peter Shue, but you got a lot of dudes out here that deserves a movie that didn't tell. You're doing all these rap movies, you know, Paid in Full, Goodfellas, the Sammy the Bull joint, Frank Lucas joint. All these dudes, do a real person. Do somebody that never told. Do somebody that went through the trenches and held up. And they, Guy Fisher did 30-something years. Prince did 30-something years. You got a lot of dudes. George is up there now. Ice, you know, my 20-something years. That's why I don't advocate for myself. I want to see my movie out because I crossed over, and there's a lot of things that we didn't even talk about that would be in that movie.
We're going to get to it on the Patreon. That's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about that, all that stuff on the bonus that these cats got to pay for. But
when do we do that?
We're going to do that. We're going to click the cameras off, stretch, and then get
we
into
doing
it.
That today?
Yeah, oh yeah, we're doing that today. I got to go. I got to jet out tomorrow, man. So I got you here. So you're captive. Peter Shue, go follow him on Instagram. Go get the book and just stay up with him, man. DM him. And you know, you're a good man. You're a good man, Peter Shue.
And don't forget, not connect. Get on that. Get on Johnny's joint. Johnny Mitchell's joint. Hottest joint out here. Up his joint from 1.3 to 300 million.
Let's get up to
300 million. so Johnny can call me and give me a check.
That's it, man. That's it. All right, you guys. We'll see you over on the Patreon. Mr. Peter Shue, thanks again, guys. Take care. Peace.